You seem as if you like to talk. I like to let people talk who like to talk. It makes it easier to find out how full of shit they are.
I'm just saying whatever light is clearly gets to the receiver faster in one direction and higher and changes throughout the year, and it consistently does that.
Riddle me this, you double-speaking moron. How can light move in one direction faster and not have a speed?
Yeah, there is no speed of light. Whatever light is clearly gets to the receiver faster. Yeah, there is no speed of light. Faster. There is no speed of light.
You unlock this door with the key of
retardation.
Beyond it is another dimension. You're moving into a land of
bullshittery.
You've just crossed over into
the numpty zone.
You are so dumb. Damn.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
I'm just saying whatever light is clearly gets to the receiver faster in one direction and higher and changes throughout the year, and it consistently does that.
No, there's not a journey because there's nothing traveling. What the light is already there.
So out of one side of your face, you say, light clearly gets to the receiver faster in one direction. Then at the other side of your face, you say, the light's not traveling, it's already there. So how can light not travel and be already there, and at the same time be traveling faster in one direction to get to the receiver, its destination? Por favor.
You serious? Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
So, we have the respawn remedial retard, double-speaking lion sewer rat, shits at 60, guns a-blazing, out-of-the-gate ether argument from FED episode 1702 from 8 months ago.
Where we have electromagnetic waves that we can show, and either it has a medium that it's waving through, or it's waving through nothing, which is an asinine claim.
So, we have electromagnetic waves, which this moron thinks is light, waving through a something medium because they can't wave through nothing. Therefore, his something medium is ether. 10 days later,
the wave is the medium.
What the hell's going on out here?
I went to everybody's head about the bird.
Welcome to the show. Ballbusters Live, episode 108. The Michelson-Morley experiment, non-experiment, experiment. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. Let's send it over to Discord, see if my tardy, distinguished MC, Nathan Oakley, is over there. Nathan Oakley, sir.
Buddy, I've been here warming them all up, making sure they're all ready for the show. What are you talking about?
I knew you'd.
You may begin.
I knew you'd make it. Thank you.
It's good to hear, like QE says, please share the show if you've not done so already. Good to have everyone. Lots of people in chat already, 40 people watching. So please smash that share button, like the show. We've got a video to cover. We're going to be sending people, like we do on Flat Earth Debate, letting them at Quantum Eraser tempt me today.
Yeah, we're going to be doing sort of a treatment. I've been bringing more treatments into the realm. It's questionable to do this because a lot of people can't be concise, but I'm starting to come around and maybe open it up for more people to have some input.
On science and experimentation?
Well, it's because, I don't want to do that. Sorry about that, folks. That one shouldn't have popped up. I'm on the wrong screen. Usually doesn't happen. We're doing this one.
Usually does happen.
Yeah, it usually doesn't happen. I'm usually pretty tight on that. But sorry about that, but we're going to do it on the Globebusters, the Michelson-Morley experiment, where half of the crowd knows it's not an experiment, but they seem moved to have a whole episode on the Michelson-Morley experiment in all caps. So this doublespeak is kind of hurting my brain. Because on one hand, they say, okay, it's not an experiment. We understand. But on the other hand, you have a whole show. Brian sent me this video, I think Monday or Tuesday, and I couldn't believe it. I don't know what to say. The doublespeak is getting hard to deal with, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it kind of feels a little bit like they're rebelling against us. Like insubordinate little children.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're going to have to get used to this. It's going to get worse.
Uh-oh. 1 second. I got to check on something. Give me 2 minutes. So, Mr. MC, can you take over for 2 minutes, please?
Maybe I was. I was in the middle of taking over. I mean, I think the tone of the day should be one of condescension. Have you been calling the Michelson-Morley an experiment again? What have we told you? How many times? No iPad for you. General tone, I think, that the day should have in mind for all of you watching, because it's been long enough, right? We've told them once, we've told them twice, we've given them detention. They just don't listen. They just can't seem to learn. I'm just glad that I'm getting a back and forth from the rest of the panel.
Hold on, Nathan, but it was no different. It was no different when you went to speak to Bob. He was admitting that it was an experiment, but he still wanted to go on and talk about this whole Michelson-Morley, whatever it was. Sorry about that.
You best be. What were you sorry about? You were saying something quite important.
The GPS came on. You heard that, right? Make a left.
I wouldn't worry about it, Neil. Just stick to the point. Don't worry about the background noise if you've got it. What was your point?
My point was Bob was no different. So do we expect any different from his little cronies or his little clones?
When you say no different, what do you mean?
Can I add a little bit of Can I add a
I think he
little
means
bit of clarification here? Because Neil just said Michelson-Morley, not experiment, but whatever it is. So I'll just briefly tell you what Wikipedia says in one sentence. The Michelson-Morley experiment was an attempt. It was neither a demonstration nor an experiment, although it has the word experiment, but it was an attempt to measure the relative motion of the Earth and the luminiferous ether, which is the supposed medium permeating space. That's it. The definition goes
Yeah,
on, but I'll stop here.
and Bob needed that to validate his little Netflix fiasco, so he held on to that tight.
invalidate his Netflix fiasco.
No, he wanted to validate it.
It was an attempt to do something. What was an attempt to do? What were they attempting to do?
Netflix effort was.
This is an important point, Nathan.
You hear me? The Netflix effort was an attempt to affirm the consequent that Earth was turning underneath a fiber optic gyro. Specifically laid out the affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy on behalf of the globe or Netflix. He described that if Earth is turning, then we will observe a 15 degrees an hour drift underneath the fiber optic gyro. And then later, affirmed the consequent by saying, "Oh, we've had a terrible bit of news. Earth turned underneath the gyro." So he affirmed the consequent. The fact that a drifting gyro means nothing in regards to whether or not Earth's turning is merely an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy, which you can either use to your advantage or relinquish based on its fallacy. If you want to use it to your advantage, which is to say, you, the globe-believing Muppet, assert that Earth turns underneath a fiber optic gyro. Well, that would mean that Earth has two reference frames and is turning underneath a separate reference frame, which would cause drift that we'd notice, and we don't. Now, if you're saying the only time we do notice is it in this faulty gyro, then that's not going to example two reference frames because we damn well notice if there was. The only assertion that there is two reference frames, in fact, the whole point of getting around this is because we do have the stars drifting at 15 degrees an hour. And the assertion is that Earth is a non-inertial turning reference frame, turning beneath the stars in the inertial reference frame. That would give Earth two reference frames, and things would drift. It's called Coriolis effect. I'm sure you're all heard of it and well aware that the globe's supposed to have it. It doesn't.
That's the second point of confusion as well. That ether drift is somehow commensurate to 15 degrees per hour. Michelson-Morley doesn't agree with what Bob's fog gyro stated. And that's the important point here for me. What the Michelson-Morley set out to do, and it proves the null, and if you're going to try and put it into some form of semblance, it doesn't show anything.
Null for what? That would mean there was a null.
That's why I chuckled.
Yeah, that means there would be a null hypothesis to confirm a null. So that would mean
you see. Now, in the car on the way home, I did try to postulate this.
I just want to understand what you mean by they confirmed their null. Do you mean they got a zero difference result?
Yeah.
That's so not confirming a null. They just didn't manage to induce an outcome that they were hoping to induce. That's not a null hypothesis.
They got no difference in the equipment when they applied what they thought the demonstration would do. Which, and this is the point, which is in contradiction to what is being correctly or incorrectly associated with Bob's fiber optic gyro. That does show a difference. The first point I'd ask is, why are we comparing the two? There is no even effect in Michelson-Morley. That's the point of it. Which is why I think it has a flavour in Flat Earth from the early days, Nathan, doesn't it? In terms of Malcolm Bowden, which is why the name rings where it proves Malcolm Bodum a geocentric position. If anything, it proves the stars are rotating because the surface isn't moving because of this null result. This is all with this is why it's not an experiment, because all of this is this pre-assumption that light doing this means ether's doing something or not doing something.
What's ether? And by the way,
exactly, and this is why it's not an experiment in any way, shape, or form, because the ether's not involved in anything. There's just the association with ether, whether it's Michelson-Morley or Bob's fog. It's just this tenuous link.
Put a cork in it, Adam. We got a super chat. Michael Kahn, I'll get it started. That's what I'm talking about. Honey, they're starting already. That's my wife's here, and she just got back. And by the way, thanks, Michael Kahn. By the way, I had to check on something because my son was running a cross-country course at a distant university, and we were looking at the results online, and his name didn't pop up. So that sent my wife off the reservation because we know he can run his butt off. So we knew something happened. Just walked through the door. That's why I had to take a time out and go check. And what do you know? He sprained his ankle coming down a hill.
Oh, you were going to say he sloped up for a bong halfway through and decided it wasn't worth it.
No. So I am a veteran of sprained ankles from teenage years through the military. I've had massive sprained ankles, and I just got issues with the spraining of the ankle and all kind of psychological effects from it. So I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to get off the beaten path. But number one,
you just gotta run through that shit, soldier.
No, that's what I'm talking about, man. I'm glad those boots went all the way up to like mid calf, and I tightened them. But on some occasions that didn't help. We don't want to get into that. I'm going to tell you. I've been on crutches so many times, it's unbelievable. Friggin' spraining an ankle is worse than breaking an ankle. I'm telling you, it's a forever lifetime thing. And then my left ankle started doing the same thing. So we don't want to go down that road. That's a whole episode by itself.
I think we need to find this out empirically.
No, we don't.
Break one of your ankles, sprain the other. We'll decide which one's more painful.
I'll get the hammer.
I'll tell you what, if you would have seen my first sprained ankle when I was 15 and I just got a job the day before, I was on summer vacation and I played basketball that night and I sprained my ankle, it got the size of a softball. It was orange, green, black, blue, and red, and different shades thereof. I wish I had taken a picture of it. You wouldn't believe it. You'd throw up right now. But we don't want to go down that road. Okay, let's get back to this road. As soon as you said it confirmed or invalidated the null, presupposes that there was a null and an alternative to validate or invalidate. Follow? And there isn't any here.
Within the null of the hypothetical, not actually in existence hypothesis that we've conjured into existence just by talking about it, there's also the ether being proven within that non-existent hypothesis. I mean, whatever it is, it's in there and it's getting proven. Let's be honest about this.
Oh, put a cork in it, Nathan. Flatten the curve.
You in charge of
Put a cork in it.
Superchats. Shush.
That's what I'm trying to clear up. Who's in charge?
Oh, Adam, go ahead. You can be in charge.
I thought I'd be third on the list. I was just surprised it was you. Well, I'll take that role. Flatten the curve. Thank you very much for the super chat. Wet your brake, QE.
It's beak.
Thank you. Oh, shit.
Wet your brake? What kind of sense does that make?
Well, it does. Maybe I'm going to give up. I'm going to.
It's just a misspelling. Listen, hello. It's cut your brakes. It's a code to me.
It's code to cut your brakes. What?
That's not a bear. No, you're misreading it, dude. What the hell's wrong with you? It says beak.
Well, Adam's made a mistake. Let's go on about it. Come on.
We got that, Arwin. Thanks.
What? Oh.
We got that.
Maybe I'll do it again.
Picking me off.
Maybe I'll do it again.
It's weird.
Flatten the curve. Wet your breeks.
Nathan, can you take control of these guys?
Me rumpusing him at the middle of the super chat, so it's actually my fault. But I mean, technically, I can take charge of that. So yes.
All right. So another thing that popped up. I told these guys last week not to view this video. I said, I'm not going to view it. I just seen the title. I'm not going to take a look at it. And it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. I'm screwing around and I'm looking at the comments under my videos, and I get this comment right here. This was from last week's show when I announced, hey, we're going to be doing this on Michelson-Morley. And Mark Lenoy, I appreciate it, sir. He gave me, he said, BALLBUSTERS Morley experiment episode. He gave me a timestamp. And it said 41 minutes and 27 seconds. And I said, you know what? That's a little bit long into the video. So I have to admit, I did thumb through it. Because of that, because I didn't want to waste everyone's time. So just to let everyone know, I did thumb through it yesterday. And I'm the only one that has, because I don't think Adam has taken a look at it. I'm for sure Nathan hasn't reviewed it. So I don't know if anyone else.
Arguments, after all of the rows.
You told us not
wanting to watch it. What an absolute outrage. I feel cheated.
I had to do it, man, because I wasn't going to get bogged down here we're going to be out of here by late 2025 as it is. So I figured I'd do a little bit of snooping.
I kind of hoped you'd gone through it, because I was going to ask at the start if we got to sit through it all. I know we were banned, and I've duly obliged. I've not watched any of it.
Neither have I, because I followed orders.
You see?
The orders were, don't watch it.
See what you did, Mark Lenoy?
Are we going to start or what?
Yeah, we are. Yes.
Just do as he says, not as he does.
Exactly, Pete.
Well, no, that was the point, to be fair. No point did I think that QE wasn't be watching it, because he's doing a show, but he asked us not to do it. He didn't say, I'll do the same, as far as I'm aware.
No, I did say that.
Then you're a shithouse.
You did say it. That's right.
Just one sec. Did you have something to add, Flatty?
She already added it.
Oh, she should have said no swearing.
Yeah, she should have said that. All right. Are you guys seeing this in Discord? It's still up?
No, it asked me to cancel the stream, but I'm sure when you start it, it'll ask again to start.
It should be okay. So I'm not going to go directly to 41 minutes. Let's get a flavor of this first. So I'd like a little latitude, since I just thumbed through it one time. Out there, audience, just be patient. We'll get there. But let's try to get a flavor for this. Let me turn my volume up so I can hear it.
Got no screen in Discord.
Oh, really? Hold on a second, guys. Let me make sure it's...
Can someone let Quantum Eraser know that he's not presenting in Discord?
Yes, I got it.
I mean, is that QA? Just had a message from Nathan. Not presenting in Discord.
You wise ass crackers, boy.
Well, he is now. Can you let him know that it's all right?
We're back on. It's all good, Nathan says.
All right, guys. Now, I'm going to play this, okay? Now, if you just say stop. Now, when you tell me to stop, what I want you to do, besides Nathan and Adam, everyone else, they get special treatment. Besides Nathan and Adam, try to be as concise as possible so we can get out of here by 2025. All right? If you take umbrage to something that's said or you got a point to make, just be concise. Be so concise it cuts me. Okay? Thank
How
you.
many times a minute can we do that?
Don't even go there. How many times a minute?
Owen, there's not a rate. Yeah? Listen to the rules. You've just got to, when you do it, you've got to be concise.
Right, so it's about like 2 seconds every minute.
That's it. Adam, thank you very much for helping me with this.
Okay, we're going to start.
Yes, we're going to start. We're going to start right now. Here we go.
and become a subscriber. He's only got 639, but what he's doing is putting together these awesome presentations where he's learning the information for you. And
okay, let me just say this. I should have introduced this. Jaron is not the one that's going to be presenting on the Michelson-Morley non-experiment. It's going to be some guy named Alan that they just pulled off the street. I've never heard of this character, and he's the gentleman that's going to be doing this video. I just want to give you that. I'm sure there's some pedigree information coming up. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't totally lost. So here we go.
And then presenting it in a compact form, but maybe it's not compact enough for some, because it's, obviously detailed subjects. So you can get a condensed version, and you're even going to get a more condensed version today on the show. So awesome. Alan, thanks for doing what you're doing. But I guess I wanted to ask you, what got you started? I don't know if people have actually heard about you yet. When did you get started in this arena? And what was it that brought you aboard?
Oh, so like when did I become like a flat earther, or when did I start making YouTube stuff?
Yeah, both.
So with flat earther, I started looking into the 7-Eleven situation, and I was like,
Are we gonna really have to listen to all that?
He came in because of the 7-Eleven situation. I don't know what they were making too many more stores, for the franchise.
Let me clear this up. No, there is a specific reference. 7-Eleven people. It was a part-time job. Okay.
It was our 2-bit version of 9/11. How Americans always do things bigger. 9/11 was that, weren't it? Our 7-Eleven wasn't that? The ropey tube incident.
Do you already know where this is gonna go? It's 7-Eleven situation. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Here we go.
was like, okay, well, this turned out to be not what it was, and that was a big eye opener for me. And I always, was fascinated by space and science and all that. I always had a proclivity for it and liked it, and all that. And so I was into the moon landing and space travel and all that, and I started looking into the moon landing, and that turned out to be, I was like, oh man, they faked that one too. Dang, it's because like before, it didn't even seem possible that something like that could be done until you realize, other deceptions that took place during your lifetime, and you're like, you just look back and you're like, oh yeah, they did it again.
Right.
So that was pretty eye opening, and then I saw some flat Earth videos pop up in the recommended on.
Okay, we can skip a little bit ahead to that. I'm gonna pull a few J's, if you guys don't mind.
YouTube, and
yeah,
I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna debunk them. You're like, oh yeah, they did it again.
Hey, Al,
Al, go forward.
L. Oh, I'm sorry.
Jay's back.
Yeah, the J's are back. Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna do a few L's. Let me just skip ahead like this. Just like I said, give me some latitude here. All right.
While you're doing it, you fiddle and I'll talk. So, but can you mute the line while you do it? When you're scrubbing through, just mute the line for sound.
For Discord?
That's 3 mouses. Yeah, inside the video, mute it, just so we don't hear you scrubbing around. You presumably found a spot you want now, though.
No,
Anyway.
I don't. Did you? Are you telling me to go ahead and mute you in Discord, and then when I find a good spot?
No, I'm saying mute the video while you're looking around for a good spot, and we can talk while you're scrubbing around, but we can't if you can hear the audio.
I can't.
But don't worry about it.
I can't do that. I got to listen to the audio.
Oh, you can't split your audio out. Oh, okay. No worries.
So just be patient, okay? It's coming.
Comments, because what I would see in the comment sections on a lot of videos I've been interested in, so I have fun doing it and learning it, because there's tons of experimental evidence and technology based on the variance of the speed of light.
Really? Oh, I hit a mother load.
I've got a quick question, because obviously I'm familiar with probably whoever the panel members would be, but this guy's been introduced. I've heard his backstory, but I don't know what is he? Is he a scientist, or is he?
No, I told you they just pulled him off the street. I have no idea
Don't
who he
just
is.
pull people off the street. He's obviously got some reason for being there. It's not just some rando, is it? Hold up. What do you think about that?
All right,
Super chat.
let's look.
I want to pay more attention, Ed.
You look. I'll do the super chat.
Okay.
Right,
You're not
lumpy
listening to
gas in a vacuum. Thanks, Ballbusters panel. I hope you all have happy wives and happy lives.
Appreciate it,
Never
sir.
a word said. Thank you, lumpy gas.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, this is a lot more than 2 seconds a minute so far.
Okay.
His credentials are, as he detailed, found out about the moon landing, and it was a real revelation.
And 7-Eleven. The 7-Eleven issue.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what it says in the description box. Joining us today will be Alan from @Space Audits to discuss the Michelson-Morley experiment.
You got another super chat, by the way. Oh, 2, so whoa, big one.
Adam!
Oh, that was good. Right, sorry. I was just trying to look up this 7-Eleven. I was just a bit confused there, but anyway. Really? Tell the missus it's all good. QE. Tell Mrs. QE, thank you, James May. Good, thumbs up, day. Oh, where is Betty? Actually, where is Betty? She doesn't come on Saturdays, James, is the honest answer. She doesn't do Saturdays anymore. She's
Is that
a very busy lady.
Is that James Mays?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, James. Thanks for coming, man. He's a very busy man. He's like a rock, man. Rock with this channel. So appreciate it, James. Anything else, Adam?
He's made it a very good day, hasn't he? So anyway,
Forgetting
Owen,
lumpy
sorry.
asses.
Breathe out, bring in. Go on, Owen.
Let me go back because you guys are not handling the situation.
With super chats, Adam?
Damn, James, you know I love that color, dude. That's what they were talking about. That's why somebody said, damn. Thank you very much, James. Appreciate that. So now, can we get on with this?
I think we should.
So, like I said, he is from Space Audits, whatever the hell that is. All right. I never heard of the gentleman. I never heard him speak before. Space Audits is some conjuring from these Etherites, I think. You know, they're auditing NASA. I've heard that before. So I think that's where he comes from. We good?
No, that's what I was asking for. What are his credentials? So he's another famous YouTuber in a different sphere to Flat Earth. He's a space auditor YouTuber, is he?
Yes, sir. So
thank you.
All right, here we go.
And the way that they try and say
I'm sorry, I wanted to deal with the topic that he mentioned. I'm going to pull a J. Listen closely to what he said.
it's completely false because there's tons of experimental evidence and technology based on the variance of the speed of light.
There's tons of experimental evidence based on the speed of light. Really? Is he going to show any? And how can... And now, wait a second. Now, how can Shits at 40 say that there is no speed of light? We just listened to him at the beginning of the show say there is no speed of light. This guy's now saying that there's experiments that have validated something to do with the speed of light. What's going on here?
Compartmentalization?
How about continuity errors?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like when you're like trying, you know, eventually you might get caught up on these continuity errors, and it seems like self-contradicting ideas.
Yep.
It's like kind of normal now. You can just contradict yourself, and everybody thinks that's fine.
That's yeah, you got it, Arwen. Exactly.
If I call it a continuity error, it's a relic of heliocentric rhetoric.
Ah. Here we go.
Wait, is he misspeaking for two-way speed of light?
Oh, he's got it all. Yeah, he's not that far, Adam. He's just
exactly.
He's just doing the surface puke. You know, the vague surface puke that he's not going to support. You know the routine. Here we go.
and the way that they try and say, the way that they try and make allowance.
Who's they? That's an important question.
For the variance in the speed through this through the relative theories is just it doesn't hold up. And
through the relative theories, are you talking about scientific theories? You talking about relativity, special and general theory of relativity? They're not scientific theories. They have no hypotheses or experiments in either, respectively. So they're not scientific theories to begin with. Here we go.
And then, you know, when you look into the theories itself, it's just all logical. It's based on logical contradictions and things that leads to paradoxes. And then it's just abstract, you know.
Are you going to give an example of that, or are you just going to give us this surface puke again? The headlines. He doesn't know dick about the general and special theory of relativity. I can already tell just by the way he's talking.
And then it's just abstract math. So,
yeah.
You just see a lot of adherence to the abstract math, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and then you can look at what, you know, Tesla said, that back in the day they had real scientists who, you know, thought clearly, and then all of a sudden now we've got this mathematics that it's all about the elegance of the math, and then they're able.
Well, why don't we go back to what Tesla said about the electron, where he said it was an indivisible particle? Why don't we go back to that? So this guy just randomly jumps in, friggin' you treasonous, treacherous traitor just jumps in with some nonsense from Tesla. Idiot.
Able to basically plug things in, remove things, put placeholders, Lorentz transformations, you name it. You can adjust whatever you need to get it to come out looking like exactly what you've been wanting.
To get it to come out to looking like exactly what you wanted about what? Can you please get 1 degree outside of complete ambiguity for us? That would be helpful for everyone. This surface scratching puke is starting to piss me off already.
So, you know, to the layperson who sees.
And what's going on with his mic? Why is he lower than higher? I'm not turning my volume up or down. What is going on here? Nathan, have you made a conclusion of that yet?
Proximity effect.
Yep.
Science, and they're like, well, everything works and everything. But
this isn't science. Well, everything works. Here we go with the surface puke. And he's going to treat science like an entity. He's going to reify it. I'll guarantee it the whole way through. I thumbed through it. I didn't hear him talk that much. But every time he speaks about science, it's going to be a reification fallacy. Why? Because he's been doing it since 2015. That's what he's going to do. Just vague, ambiguous horseshit, reifying things.
What they don't see is the underlying tricks that have been placed. You know, even like having a special theory of relativity, then a general theory of relativity that contradict each other.
But a special theory of general relativity, we already went over that the general and special theories, respectively, aren't scientific theories, number one. Special relativity deals with flatland. It's a flatlanders. Whereas general relativity is pseudo-Riemannian force space-time. Yeah. So those are the differences, the big difference. You know, the layman. Most laymen don't even know that, by the way. But I digress. Let's let him train wreck himself.
No, one or the other whenever they need it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's important. So where Jaron's contrasting special and general relativity, he is setting one against the other based on the contradictions within. But both are being held up as science. Both are being described as theories, and neither have adhered to the scientific method. So a good base understanding, something I was trying to communicate to Jaron last time I spoke to him, of science and the scientific method would leave you with a good base understanding for debunking both, as opposed to setting one against the other based on the contradictions held within. Now, the same process happens within this section of Flat Earth, which is to say, they'll start critiquing pseudoscience, labelled as science, and then offer up more pseudoscience, also labelled by them as science, to contrast and contradict the original pseudoscience. And again, a good base understanding of what the scientific method was and is would shortcut your way to cutting the knees off both of them immediately without having to necessarily know how they contradict each other.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it.
Here we go.
It's like, well, how could that not be seen as fallacious? That's what's crazy to me. But,
It's a wonderful dance they've done.
yeah, it's impressive.
Who are they? I'd like to know that.
I mean, I'll definitely say it's impressive. But again, they've had
What's impressive? What, 2 pseudoscience scientific theories? That's not impressive.
A lot of time and a lot of the smartest men and mathematicians who had a goal, and they,
What was the goal? You going to mention it? Nope.
basically
Just one more thing.
did what they needed to do.
Go ahead.
One thing.
Yep.
Well, take some of these words. Take note of this as an audience, because of how I've just laid it out in terms of all quoted science that isn't, it's pseudoscience, versus quoted science that isn't and is pseudoscience. Well, all of these criticisms that Jaron's currently laying at the door, although they wouldn't be as specific and concise as ours, are just criticisms that could equally be laid at the door of Michelson-Morley when it finally comes up. So just make a note of these criticisms that Jaron's laying for special and general relativity, because they will be equally as valid when it comes to his Michelson-Morley quote-unquote experiment, because it's equally pseudoscience.
Yeah, it's also going to come to the fore that the ether lover Einstein, this is going to be problematic. He's dogging out Einstein on one side of his face, appropriately so. Of course, he doesn't know why. But then on the other, he doesn't realize that Einstein's an ether lover, which is another paradox. But I digress. Let's continue.
Get that goal done. Let's start with something else. I just want to bring this up. I brought it up on my show, and I know people have been talking about it. So we're talking about the taboo conspiracy video that he put out that I still think is...
Folks, we're going to skip through this. This is NASA stuff. I don't really care. It goes on for some time here, so I'm just going to clip through this real quick. You know, they're in their expertise. I grant them that with the NASA crap.
To describe what's going on with the sun.
I've got a question.
And I thought he said
question. Sorry.
Say again?
I've got a question. Didn't Einstein come up with a theory of general relativity because Michelson-Morley proved that the Earth doesn't rotate, so he had to come up with with that theory in order to justify it?
I don't think so. Can you show that?
No. I had that in my memory, so I'm not sure if it's right, and I was wondering if somebody else had that information.
No.
Yeah, with it. That's what he says.
I don't see how, because Einstein is an ether lover. He said that he definitely needed ether for the general theory of relativity. So that doesn't, they're not, it's not washing.
It's part of the conspiracy theory. So part of the overreaching conspiracy is that the introduction of Einstein, these kind of things, and the statements by Tesla, delving into mathematics, was a way of moving past the ether, to ignore it, to deny it, and therefore forget about it, and just move into this new thing. So it's an old claim, that, but it is kind of why I think Einstein's opposed to it, even though I think, as far as I know, he wanted a medium himself, didn't he, for things to
He called it ether.
Yeah. In his case, for things to propagate it.
For light to propagate it. Go ahead.
Luminiferous.
Oh, God.
Brian, go on.
I hear Brian trying to get in.
Sorry, I'm a bit late. Yeah, I'd like to say something on that. Yeah, Michelson-Morley didn't debunk Einstein. Quantum mechanics debunked Einstein.
Exactly.
And that's the difference. The problem is that there's a lot of people out there saying that Michelson-Morley and, let's say, the ether debunked Einstein, right? But what they don't realize is the difference between something like quantum field theory, which is not quantum mechanics. It just takes the word quantum and adds it in. And they try to marry quantum mechanics within that with general relativity, special relativity, and Newtonian gravitation, right? Yep. Incorrectly called Newtonian. Right, they try to do this big threesome situation.
No, it's more than that. It's a foursome. It's also the debunked electrodynamics by Maxwell.
Foursome, then it's a real cluster. So what the what's wrong is they don't realize the difference between what is quantum mechanics and what isn't quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
So they marry quantum mechanics with general relativity, and they think that Einstein was avoiding the ether and avoiding the Michelson-Morley non-experiment. When the truth is that what he was actually avoiding was quantum mechanics.
Yep, you got it.
Because that's the thing that's debunked them.
Thanks,
Thank
Brian. Thanks for adding that.
Thank you.
Yep, Brian is absolutely correct. Here we go.
Perfectly, and I was like, okay, that's great, because I was struggling to get this out. So here's the way you need to recognize what's going on with the sun, what we're noticing, what people are out there watching right now.
He's on with the sun. I think he's got some type of thing going on where people are looking at the sun in the northern versus southern hemiplanes. That's what's going on here. So I'm going to skip through this. We'll get a little bit of I'll give you a little bit of flavor.
If you want, I can give the detail of it. I know what that is about.
Yeah, go ahead quickly, Brian, please.
Yeah, what it is he's getting people to detail with cameras the time from when the sun appears to be gone, like say, out of sight, to the time it actually gets properly dark.
Oh,
and
twilight.
Twilight. It's how fast your twilight disappears.
Right.
And he's trying to use it as a way of proving that the sun is moving faster after the 21st of June and slower after the 21st of December. But what I have to say and put this in is that what he's not mentioning, which is part of Kepler's analemma, is the 3 million mile difference that's between December 21st and June 21st within their heliocentric model. So he's trying to debunk Kepler, basically, without adding in a very crucial part of Kepler's analemma and why that is in there. So I'm just going to say that I don't know what his intentions are, but if I was a baller, I'd just wait for him to make a big deal out of this, then I'd ask him about the 3 million miles. You know what I mean?
You're giving
you know what I mean? He's like...
You're giving the ballers ammunition against Hanoi Jaren? Oh, God.
Oh, they don't need it. They're well aware of that 3 million miles, and that's exactly what they're going to... That's exactly what they're going to use.
All right.
You know what I mean? Unless he addresses that 3 million miles that they claim, then that's what's going to be used against them.
Yeah.
And it's going to make them look stupid again.
It doesn't take much. Thanks, Brian. Let's get a little bit of a flavor for it. I just skipped ahead.
And then do it a week later. And what you're going to notice is that amount of time that you see the sun is decreasing. Okay. Now, somebody in the South right now who does it, since they're getting close to their summer, should be doing the opposite. But guess what it's doing? It's decreasing. Why is that? Because the sun is moving faster for everyone on Earth. That is a fantastic evidence for a flat Earth, or at least something that's not a globe. Because
what type of evidence is that, pray tell? Do you have something validating your explanation there? I find it interesting, but what type of validation is it? You're just going to come up with some conjured conclusion? Well, then the Earth is not a sphere. It's not going to be so easy. But I do find the concept interesting. Nathan, didn't you do something like this way back in the day with time and date?
Tracking the sun?
Yes.
Yeah.
And didn't you find... Go ahead.
Sunrise, sunset? Yes, we did.
Didn't you find some problems with what they said on time and date? Were the wrong times? They were all screwed up?
They weren't all screwed up. I mean, there was a couple of instances where it was out by an hour at people's solar noon. So what time and date said would give you solar noon wasn't solar noon.
Gotcha. I remember that was a long time ago. Okay, thanks.
Because the globe doesn't have any
mechanism.
mechanism.
This is slightly different, isn't it?
This is slightly different. They're going, I think he's, like I said, he's like what Brian said, and from what he just said here, they're going more with twilight in the north versus in the southern hemiplanes.
Yeah. And that makes sense, because what you're describing is a circular transition of the sun. And based on the size of that radius from the center, in your position, you will get different effects of twilight. Whether that's on a ball or flat, you're going to get that effect.
How about on a pear-shaped Earth that's slightly
let me
chubber
just
at the
finish.
bottom?
Arwin, before you bring in Dick Earth. Right.
Dick Earth?
The interesting point of looking in north and south is that we're starting to see whether it's hemispheres or not, isn't it? Whether it's continually divergent. That would be the point of analysing twilight, I would imagine.
Okay.
Would be my supposition. So I think that's quite
But what-
not that it proves anything, but it's an interesting thing to observe. Isn't
That's
it?
exactly what I was saying. It's interesting, but good luck trying to prove something as a result of that.
Oh, you can't.
Yeah.
Couldn't the ball just rebut like, hey, but that's why it's a little chubbier on the side, on the bottom side of this ball, and that's why the twilight's different? I mean,
no.
I know how they rebut it. I know how they rebut it.
You just told us
See
before.
what they really. Well, no, there's more to it than that. That was the basics. There's more. There's a little bit more to it than that, because within Kepler's analemma, during the southern summer, their globe Earth during that period between June 21st and December 21st, their globe is rotating around closer to the sun by 3 million miles at December 21st, and it's moving at its fastest orbit, part of its orbit. So it orbits faster in the southern summer than in the northern summer. This is their claim. Now, also you have to tilt, and remember I said to 3 million miles, which is they're 3 million miles closer to their heliocentric sun. But it's also claimed to be orbiting faster. So what you've got to do, like if you take a flashlight, right, and you hold it away from a door, let's just say, then the area the flashlight will take up, the circle, the radius, or the circumference, will be bigger than if you hold it close. It'll be more intense. Sorry, it'll be more intense if you're holding it close, but the area will be smaller. The area of light will be smaller. Now, what you need to do is, from their point, what they need to do, I should say, not you, you're not going to be doing it, but what they need to do is show how the rotation of the globe, with it being closer to the sun by 3 million miles within Kepler's analemma, how that doesn't explain this twilight issue.
Got it.
Because it could just become a big cluster screw, as you would say.
Yes.
And the ballers, so that's would be how I'd view
Okay.
that.
Thanks for that, Brian.
Can I ask a question? Does anybody know how far? Because I'm in Chile, right? So, and I'm very far south. I'm in Puerto Montt. So, does anybody know exactly to what latitude does the southern summer analemma reach? Because me and my friend in South Africa, we're actually precisely looking at that this summer, because we've been watching these people that go to Deceit Island, which is a very strange name to give an area, where they claim that there is 24-hour sun in the south. Like I understand how it works in the north, and I know that I've seen people do the time lapses of the sun doing its full cycle in what would be the northern hemisphere. But in the south, him and I have a very hard time understanding how they can claim, and they actually show videos, but there isn't any. Well, my friend says he's seen. I still have to see it myself. He's seen videos of 24-hour sun in the southern hemisphere. But
Yeah,
I mean,
only
I've got my
edited ones.
sister-in-law.
only
Sorry?
edited ones. We have seen a couple of those, but they're all edited, not.
Yeah, that's what I would think as well. Because the thing is my sister-in-law lives in Punta Arenas. Him and I are not sure if that would be far south enough to actually, well, regardless, if you're standing in Punta Arenas and you look towards the south, and there, just because him being in South Africa at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when sun, when he still has sun, and I have sun above me, that's 9,000 kilometers according to Google Earth, that the sun is covering. So if I'm standing in Punta Arenas and there is a sun down there 24 hours a day, I would see it with my eyes on the horizon. Somehow you would see the luminescence, and that does not happen. So there is clearly somebody lying somewhere.
Well, if you look at the Gleasons...
You referred to the... When you said analemmas, how far south? Analemma is gathered over the year, yeah? So, are you referring to the Tropic of Capricorn in terms of its most southerly point? That would be the point, however you view the analemma, that would respond to its most southerly. Is that what you're asking? CR? Yeah, because it definitely comes further south than the Capricorn, or it definitely comes further south in Capricorn, because
when I'm, for example, in my cabin, that's in Neftaquilla, it's a little bit further north from Puerto Montt. Like it comes overhead, and usually, it sets, like in a southward direction towards the end, especially the 24th of December. But I don't see that. I haven't been in Punta Arenas during that period, but I can definitely call either my sister-in-law or her boyfriend, to put on the telephone and show me exactly where it is. But I personally believe that just because of the angle, it does not go, all the way down to the south. It stays far north from the southern position. That's my analysis.
Just a quick question. And so, mentioned the Tropic of Capricorn, and that's at like, what was it, 23, 24 degrees south. I assume that the people you're referencing are further south than that.
Yeah, I'm far, much further south from there. Yeah.
Right, and so they're observing strange things that wouldn't be commensurate if we were talking about two hemispheres, would they? You're sat. You've either got non-commensurate hemispheres, which is what we're suggesting why it's a question. Or if we're looking at it from a different viewpoint, they're sat on the outside of the transit of the sun, whereas all the other observations tend to be with the sun transiting around you.
Let me stop this. Did you guys get the memo when I said earlier about making your comments concise and not derailing this? Now,
I am. And before the interruption, I would have said, so does that make the sense? We're describing different things, or we're describing something that isn't equivalent in two hemispheres?
Thanks.
Could I ask?
Hold on. No, I'm going to stop it. This is an interesting discussion for another day. Okay?
I can sum it up in one word. It's not symmetrical. There you go.
Could I just suggest something based off the original question that the man asked? I would ask him to look at the Gleason's projection and at the two portions down below on the left and the right of that projection, where it speaks about the solstice on June 21st and December 21st, and look at what it says about December 21st, which is when the sun is at its most southern point, which is what we term as the Tropic of Capricorn. It says there is no light past the 80th degree south on that day. Now, I don't know if there is or isn't light. I'm saying Gleason, who made this map, this projection, this calculator, he states that there is no sunlight past the 80th degree south on the 24th of December, just as something that might help him. That's it.
Thanks. Can we move on?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Ever explain how the sun is moving faster for everyone on Earth? It just doesn't work. So that's basically the proof that we're looking for there. And if you want to join us,
he calls that proof. Unbelievable.
Just reach out to either me, t.me/Geocentric, or Austin, although he's busy moving right now, which is t.me/Witsit.
What are you gonna text him for? You want some double speaking lion surrat stuff? That's the only reason why you're gonna text him.
WITSIT. And just say, hey, I want to help out with the filming. You don't even need. You could use your phone if you wanted to. You would just need a tripod, number one.
Bring in the owls.
Recording basically when the sun hits the horizon,
I'm doing it.
And then stop it when you don't see the light anymore. You probably only need about.
And like for $12 to $20, you can get one from, probably your local area. They sell them even at Walmart.
Who cares?
Get a reading, a measurement. That's not just your optical opinion.
I agree.
What did he say? Optical opinion? Hold on.
Although I do think that the optical opinion is going.
He said it a second time. What the hell is an optical opinion? What the hell is that?
I'm gonna Google that right now.
Okay, thanks, Adam. I'm gonna be skipping ahead while you Google it.
Be pretty definitive in the fact that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if the person, because I can go out and watch this.
Who's that Zach idiot with his optical opinion? Unbelievable.
sunset, and as long as I'm the
He Jedi mind tricked Hanoi Jaren into thinking optical. He restated it.
I'm getting a nil return.
Say again.
What? I'm getting a nil return on optical opinion, other than suggestions for eye tests.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam.
the one saying, okay, now I no longer see the sunlight, and then I record that time, and then a week later, it's going to be, it should be, for instance, the sun sets behind the mountain, and you start your time clock there. And assumption that in the summer
we're skipping this, guys.
We get longer. Zach was just saying, in the South during the there are different things and opposite. And
you know why you're skipping? Just a quick question.
Your data set.
You know what I can get from Walmart to give me an optical opinion? We missed that bit.
What?
What is it I can get from Walmart that will give me an optical opinion? I didn't hear the actual. What is it?
You want me to go back? No. It's nonsensical gibberish.
Okay, I'm going to look into them. So you're basically saying that it would know the moment it's not receiving any light.
Who cares?
It knows that that's the truth. It'd be weird. You'd be able to pretty much. Okay, so this is showing your different twilight times. So we've got nighttime.
Oh, brother.
20 degrees below the horizon. But
this is not very Michelson-Morley like.
No, we're getting there, Adam. Just be patient. We're almost there.
Well, that's not.
We're on twilight.
We're showing the light, the idea of twilight.
Hey, Adam, I already know where we're
vampires.
at. I already know where we're at. I can hear it. I'm getting there.
To a simple mathematical, if you think of a bicycle tire, and the judge that is when the sun sets, which I thought I had. Moving, and then also
that's how an actual debate works,
right?
Wait a second.
Moving, and then people get stuck on certain subjects. I get frustrated.
Hit the J's.
View of the horizon. So
here we go. Just relax, Adam. I got this. Here we go. Let's take a little listen to this, and then we'll get on to the Michelson-Morley experiment, non-experiment.
That is all I think I had for you. Oh, I got one other thing. Starting on Tuesday, I've got a new show coming. Which I thought I had. No, maybe I did. No, don't have it up. Let me see if I got the image. I had a graphic for it, but I don't have it ready. So my problem is in a lot of these.
Is he having a conversation with himself? I digress.
These debates that people
There's
have.
Nothing wrong with that.
I tune out most of the time. Like, let's say modern day debate.
Modern day debate is not a debating platform. You imbecile. My word.
If we have a flat earth debate or something, usually they're like 4 hours, right? 4.5 hours, long time. People get stuck on certain subjects. I get frustrated. So I've always wanted a more succinct, compact debate show where basically you get to learn more, you get to see more, you get people to present things more. And so I've started the idea of using a time clock where you basically have a timed amount of time to discuss a certain.
You have a timed amount of time. Yeah, that's not redundant. So I guess he's like king moderator now. We don't train to time. We train to standard, right? No time clock is going to help you in any debate. It's just going to leave you with this gray twilight. Nothing is confirmed. Nothing is resolved. Nothing is affirmed. It's a whole bunch of nothingness. Like that space between your ears, Hanoi. So this is unbelievable.
Certain topic, and then you move on. And that's just to kind of keep the conversation moving. And then also...
That's how an actual debate works.
Oh, really, Zach? The doofus. That's how an actual debate works. With a time clock. What a moron.
Right. Not like the ones that just sit around
like
and
the
look
real
back
ones.
and forth.
Yeah,
Right.
like in college and stuff like that.
Oh, really? Show a college debate. Let's see it. Just making shit up. You haven't even sniffed around a university, sunshine.
But that's what they do. They get allotted amounts of time, and yeah.
Right.
Allotted amounts of time, and everyone just, speaks to their allotted amount of time and stay in the gray twilight. Right? With nothing affirmed. Yeah, that's what a debate should be, right? In clowns.
So my hope is that, and my guarantee to you will be, every debate will be under 1 hour and a half total.
See, he's training the time, not the standard. Yep. Thanks.
and that's including what basically is going to happen is there's going to be
Okay, let me bypass
a minute
it.
or two per each question.
Up.
And then we'll get into the
He's louder now. Thank you.
topics, and the topics, there'll be 6 for each person, meaning each person is bringing to the table 6 things they want to maybe gotten with some gotchas, because both MC Toon going against Brian Leakey.
Oh, yeah, that worked out well. Brian Leakey. Yeah, brains leaking like a sieve. That was an embarrassment of epic proportions. And I don't get it. I really don't.
And there we go. It's called Debatism. So that'll be Tuesday.
It's debatism. What the hell is debatism? That's rhetorical. You don't need to comment on this. This is a fiasco.
At 6 p.m. Pacific, they both have the topics already. They're already getting their presentation ready to go.
Here we go.
And basically, we are going to do those questions, like I said, 1 or 2 minutes each. Then the topics are the 3 questions answered for each, which is a total of 6 questions.
Who cares?
Plus an intro, plus an outro, plus answering questions in an hour and a half. And if I can get that, because I already see what the 6 or the 12 top, stop it. Now, for it's a more compact, complete debate than I've seen anywhere else. So that's what I'm trying for. Again, that starts Tuesday, 6 p.m. If you're interested in debating on
Shut up, Neil.
On the show, you can do one of 2 things. Either one, message me, t.me/Jaronism. I've already had 3 or 4 people.
All right, we're getting close. It's coming.
Do this who say, I want to debate X topic, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be flat Earth. If you want to debate evolution,
God.
you want to debate Christianity, go there and say, I want to go against that person. Or you can message me and say you already have an opponent, which is fine by me. If you've already talked to somebody and you've decided between yourselves to bring it to topics or play in the dark. And so, like I said, this coming Tuesday will be the first episode, 6 p.m. Pacific. Brian against MC Toon, and both of them already have their topics and questions. So that should be fun. All right. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time.
Sorry to take so much of your time, Alan. I want to talk Michael.
Here we go.
Michelson-Morley, because there is a group around these parts that, for some reason, can't grasp it. They think that it doesn't occur in the natural world. So what difference does it make? Or
there's a group around these parts that say that this doesn't occur in the natural world. I wonder what group he's referring to there.
I don't care about the group. I just want to know what's occurring in the natural world that has a link to the Michelson-Morley.
Exactly.
And that's just crazy. If we
what?
I just say the group may not be us, because it could just as easily be the ballers, as they deny it too.
Human beings can create measure.
Deny what?
The darkness.
This is what I'm going to predict. It's going to be interesting to know what certain people deny and what certain people actually claim in the natural world, and how it's replicated in the Michelson-Morley experiment.
Measuring devices, measuring tools, and it's okay to use those, just like this meter that we're talking about using for these sunsets, just like you use a ruler, just like anything that you use to measure is a man-made device, and that's okay. So we can't just say we cannot use man-made devices in experiments. That's
who would say that?
Many years I've said you can't use a ruler and measure that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, who would say that?
Science.
Hanoi Jaron? Did you just make that shit up? Yeah, because you're stupid. No one would say that because it's idiotic.
That's ridiculous.
No, he's just getting his facts wrong as normal.
If what you're testing shows something that needs to be explained, well, that.
If your testing shows something that needs to be explained, like I said, he can't get outside of 1 degree of complete ambiguity. It's just these vague, generalized, gray horse shit. It's driving me insane.
That's where you start getting the science behind it.
That's where you start getting the science behind that sentence. It's incoherent. science behind it. There's another reification fallacy. Where's science behind?
And there's a group out there saying that things aren't experiments unless they meet strict criteria.
Things aren't experiments unless they meet the criterion for what a scientific experiment is. It's a very simple concept.
And
QE,
might be
you know, for a scientific experiment, are the criteria specific?
Yes.
Carry on.
When we learn
I have a
whether or
question.
not this one meets.
Go ahead.
Well, not much of a question. I just said I have a question. That was a lie. I actually have a statement. He will not address this group, which is obviously us. Right? He will not address the group he's talking about. He won't even mention us. Where we have absolutely no problem whatsoever mentioning him 24/7, 365. But he can't mention us. Just some random group that he doesn't want to even mention on his screen in case somebody goes looking to find out who we are. He doesn't want to do that. We are his embarrassment.
The science behind it. And there's a group out there.
Go ahead.
If the criterion for the experiment weren't specific, would they be able to address a hypothesis which, in the words of Mr. Nathan Oakley, are hyper-specific?
No.
It would have no use if it wasn't specific, would it?
No.
Okay, then.
Can I move on?
They're saying that things aren't experiments unless they meet strict criteria, and we might be surprised when we learn whether or not this one meets that strict criteria. So I'll let you go, Alan, if you want.
Well, I guess we're going to be surprised. I'm thinking he's going to show how this meets the scientific criteria. Then here we go.
I'm going to preface it with anything other than what I just said, but I think Michelson-Morley, there's a reason it is the most famous experiment. I guess they call it the most famous failed experiment, but I can't.
The most famous experiment. It's not an experiment. Most famous? What do you mean by famous? What the hell is he on about? That's what I'm saying, folks. Just baseless surface puke. Horse shit that he made up.
I can't really think of one that's
How
more
do you
famous
fail an
that,
experiment?
Is out there.
You don't.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. And there's a group out there who thinks that somehow this is globe proof or globe evidence or something like that. And it's really not. When you know what.
Well, it's not globe evidence because it's not a scientific experiment. It's not evidence for anything.
Happened, what they had.
In natural science.
I'm not sure where Jeron's placing this when he says that. It's not a globe proof. What's not a globe proof? Bob's fog gyro, which is the accusation that was put to Bob's fog gyro there, or Michelson-Morley, where, if anything, it's touted as a globe denier, isn't it?
Yes.
It is, as I said, well, not globe. It's touted from a
Geocentric
static point of view that it's a geocentric.
Right.
Evidence.
Exactly. Yes. Here we go.
Had to do what they were looking for, what they saw, what they had to change in order to make up for what they saw. And then you get into the Dayton Miller stuff.
What the hell is he talking? That again, vague ambiguities. Dayton Miller stuff. What's
which
that?
I hope we talk about a little bit today. But you know, there's a Dayton Miller guy who's done 5 million measurements.
This 5 million measurements thing. We've heard this before, so it's this Dayton Miller character. So just remember that.
Using interferometry.
Ooh, that sounds sciencey.
Of the speed of light. Basically, it's the speed of light.
Speed of light? What are we talking about the speed of light for? When Shits at 40 says that light has no speed. Remember, it's already there. You forget about that. My word.
But it's how light propagates in.
Propagates means travels. Shits at 40 said that light doesn't travel. It's already there.
Various directions. And what they're noticing is, remember, relativity says that
relativity doesn't say squat. He's reifying relativity now.
The speed of light is the same for all observers regardless. And what they're finding is That's not true. There is a preferred direction.
Wait a second. There is a preferred. Is he saying light has preferences? That's a
yes.
That's a monstrous reification. Are you saying that if light prefers a certain direction and I shoot it in the opposite direction, it says, whoa, wait a second, I don't prefer this, and turns around and goes in the opposite direction? Is that what you're saying, Hanoi Jaren? My word. We're in Stupidville. Go ahead, Brian.
General relativity didn't say what he said at all. Einstein used C, which is the two-way speed of light calculation, and called it, it's known as Einstein's concept, or Einstein's...
Simultaneity convention.
Yeah, convention, that's right. And the reason it's called that is because he admitted that it's good for completing equations. It's like, and it's based off a vacuum. We don't live in a vacuum. There is no speed of light.
Exactly.
Like, where is he? Has he researched any of this stuff?
No.
Even just the basics of what he's going to start talking about.
Nope.
And what that means, again, many people might jump to the conclusion, oh, it means that we're spinning or we're traveling here or we're doing these. But the speeds are way less than traveling around the sun, and they're not picking up any other travel around the galaxy or around.
What the hell is he on about now? Who knows?
Around the great attractor.
Galaxies.
And so you can tend to lean back and say,
relevant.
Go ahead, Adam.
If you're going to use, this is why it's can be cited as an exponent for a geocentric view, even on a ball or on a plane. It doesn't matter, but it being geocentric, you're going to invoke all of these supposed speeds and movements in different directions. Then that should have an implication, shouldn't it? Especially 660,000 miles an hour in terms of the interference pattern or lack thereof. So that's a kind of semi-valid point if you're going to allude to the fantastical claims of the heliocentric model, particularly on a solar system and galaxy level. Those kind of movements should be having an implication in this equipment.
All right.
Well, I would say I would disagree a little bit, briefly.
It better be really brief.
Well, what he said was it doesn't match the orbiting speed. Now, the only way that you, within what he's talking about, could match the orbiting speed that's claimed or any other thing is you'd have to actually have the correct speed of light. You'd have to have at least a medium, an average speed. Based off of two, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But you don't have that.
But
so
look at the standards, Brian.
Yeah.
Look at the standards. Match. We would have what? A correlation?
Yes.
What are we on about here?
But they're on about nonsense. This is a nonsense waffle. He's on it by himself. Hopefully we'll get to the principle here in a second.
Them measuring the ether or the ether wind.
Now it's ether wind. Okay, number one, what the hell is ether? Number two, how can you have a logical framework wind? Anyone? We were told that it's a lot from Schutz at 40. He said it was a logical framework for interpretation. Now it's a wind. Which one is it?
Wind. Yeah.
Well,
from the logical framework, you can assume about the term wind that we're not dealing with a static luminiferous ether. We assume, along with the ether itself, that the ether is moving.
What's
and
ether?
A way to describe that in a methodology that might convey to the listener that you have some kind of real understanding would be to use the term wind.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Well, no, it's actually a hijack.
Now, Brian, you're going to interrupt again? Did you get my memo at the beginning of this?
I did, but it's relevant. What they're doing is, it is relevant. What they're doing is hijacking what's known as an ionic wind. So when they're asked to show an ether wind, they'll show you an ionic wind, which is the movement of air molecules via electrons, basically. That's how it's described.
Yeah, but air molecules aren't ions.
No,
an
but
ionic wind is what Count Dooku's ship uses to get across the galaxy. Now, press play.
Can I just clear this up? I've looked it up. It says a 4-door Kia sedan, electric 4-wheel motor. That's what it says here. I'm just saying.
Thanks.
That's not what Count Dooku had.
You better let me continue.
And the answer is, well, of course, because we're finding out that those speeds are dependent on the season and they're dependent on the altitude.
Speeds of what? Light. According to shits at 40, the light doesn't have a speed. What are you talking about? He's off the reservation. They're all off the reservation.
These
which
are crucial
does
claims.
not work on a globe. There's no reason why the globe would not have a different speed because of altitude.
The globe would not have a different speed? What the hell is he talking about?
I don't know.
Stop! Stop! What is measuring these things at different altitudes and at different times and seasons that it works? Now, if the suggestion that this second hand that you picked up cheap off eBay fiber optic gyro is the thing that gives different readings at altitudes and seasons, can anybody think of a reason why an airliner might sell this cheap on eBay?
Listen to the spec sheet. The Kia Ionic Wind comes with a gyroscope, so I mean, there's that too.
And if the gyroscope deviated, right, Nathan, because of seasons and altitude, what use would it be to the Kia?
None. They'd have to file 13 and it's shit canned. So, this is a nonsense waffle. We're not even to the meat yet. Can I continue?
We are to the meat because this is the whole point. We're now conflating Michelson-Morley and Bob's fog gyro data.
Yes.
Just listen to what's being discussed when what's being claimed.
He's not discussing anything. He's just talking out his ass.
I can smell it already. Look, we're supposed to be talking Michelson-Morley, and what's just been discussed is somebody with a knackered fog gyroscope they bought second-hand off eBay, been running up and down a mountain throughout the winter and summer. That's what's my evidence.
Did you call it a knackered fog gyro?
I'm making that assumption, QE.
That was a good. I got to remember knackered fog gyro. Appreciate it.
Or because of the season. And so we're finding. So this is something that all flat earthers, in my opinion, should know, even without the Dayton Miller stuff. They should know about Michelson-Morley because it changed physics. Everything that we have today.
What changed physics? Physics has always been the study of matter and energy and their interactions thereof. When did this change? It's always been that. What's he talking about?
It's now about how molecules identify.
Huh?
Don't know.
Definitely changed physics.
Change physics.
No, you've got to understand, once they figured out what the preferences of light were, it changed things forever.
Yep, it must have. Thank you.
General, special, Lorentz transformations, all these things are a result of a test that they thought they were going to be able to show in ether, or they were, and then they.
Can you show an ether? Can somebody define this monkey? It's been about a year. It's been longer than that because I was trying to get Gleam Idiot to define it about 4 or 5 years ago, and he couldn't. So, but can somebody tell us, just give us the definition and show this monkey? That's all we want.
According to the spec sheet of the Kia Ionic Wind, the ether is a starry headliner. It's an optional extra. I mean, that might not have anything to do with it, but I'm just saying.
Thank you.
You missed something.
Didn't get one.
Uh-oh. Go
Are we
ahead.
talking in terms of Michelson-Morley? Do you want an outline in terms of what the fudge they're on about?
There is a disclaimer. It says on this, if your starlight headliner drifts at 15 degrees an hour, return it, it's faulty.
See,
He
that's
just
good
claimed that,
advice from Kia, isn't it? That is good, solid advice.
John, they're not going to let you speak.
Sorry. He's back.
Yeah, they just claimed that relativity and the Lorentz transformation was physics. That ain't cool.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's not back. See? This is why he disappeared earlier. Said he was off to chat skank.
He was off the chat skank. Thanks,
an
John.
Darwinism.
Yeah, your mic is a train wreck, but we got you, John. Try to fix that.
So they just said, oh, the ether doesn't exist.
No one said the ether doesn't. We don't walk around saying you got to show a modicum of proof of the existence for something for somebody to come along and say it doesn't exist.
Let me hear somebody say. Sorry.
Go ahead, Neil.
Let me hear somebody say that Jiren does not claim ether again. I want to hear somebody say that to me.
Oh, that's right. Good point, Neil. Yeah, he said that he doesn't claim anything about ether. Remember that the last time we had this knuckle dragger on? This treacherous, treasonous traitor, double speak, contradict himself again? Good point, Neil.
I have to back up Jaron here. I publicly state and did state in my last debate with Witsit that ether does not exist. That is my claim.
Yeah,
so
but
I do it.
Yeah,
now,
but that's
I don't know about everyone else.
That's after you've heard somebody claim that it does exist. So that's different. Follow?
Okay.
Yeah,
I do.
Is we don't spend much time, if we're honest, walking around declaring that duple slurpelgertz does not exist.
Oh,
because there's no need to.
That's copyrighted. That duple slurpelgertz. Where do you how did you remember that?
Meanwhile,
he said slopel.
Meanwhile, regardless of the copyright on the phraseology for the hypothetical example, duple slurpelgertz, once positively claimed, may, with a conclusory statement, be declared to be non-existent, based on the lack of evidence that's been provided by the positive claimant. Is QE's point? Thank you.
Thank you.
And is that the right, assumption? Well, we're going to find out as Alan has done extensive research into this and come up with a little presentation. So, Alan, whenever you want to go, it's all you.
We finally arrived here. It took us an hour and a half.
You should have took the advice from the chat.
I can't look at chat.
Oh, what are we at? 44 minutes. I think he says start at, was it 50? So maybe we've got a bit
timestamp. You mentioned a timestamp at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
You should go straight to the timestamp.
Yeah, I should have. That's all. I'll take one for the team on that one. Gotcha. So
we've had some shits and giggles on the way, haven't we? We haven't,
Right. And with that, we're going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to you.
Nice. Very well played. Thanks, Nathan. Yes, we're about to get into it. So this isn't a presentation by Jaron. This is from Alan, off the street Alan from the garbage can. Here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the screen share started.
Thank you.
But before we begin, I want to say I'm excited for the Debatism show, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, brother.
The exact structure and format that you thought of and laid out is
All right, let's take a look at this. This is first slide. The Michelson-Morley experiment, experiment, demonstration, or parlor trick. Wondering where he got the parlor trick from.
No, credit where it's due. That is the question at hand, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's quite redundant. Why would you call it the Michelson-Morley experiment and then put a colon and then right after it put experiment, demonstration, or parlor trick? That doesn't make any sense.
Because the first part is clearly the colloquial term that we take umbrage to.
Clearly.
exactly what I was wanting to see in a debate because, like you were
That's exactly what he wanted to see a debate. He wanted a time clock adhered to.
saying, like modern day debates.
Hold
It's
up,
cool.
hold up. This I heard earlier, right? This nonsensical contradiction. Debate and then time clock. One or the other. You either have a debate where a point of contention is raised and you interject and discuss it, or you're given time to just spew rhetoric. The two aren't necessarily commensurate. They might be at high school in America, which is the only way to do it, with a load of snotty teenagers, yeah, as if that's a real debate. That alludes to the thing that Neil deGrasse Tyson's scared of, isn't it? Someone might be slicker than them. their presentation might be smoother. Well, that's not debate, is it? That's presentation, which if you're a lot of time slots, by my understanding, that's just the presentation.
Just on that note about the experiment, in this title for this video, it's the Michelson-Morley experiment in all caps. That's big letters, right? So, is that not false advertising if the actual presentation, the person who's doing the presentation, has a question mark about whether it's an experiment or not?
Brian.
That's syntax.
Yeah.
Can we hear a solid like minute 30 of what he's got to say? Is that possible? That interjection. Just I want to hear the full spiel.
Okay. Yes. Here we go.
Shouldn't we listen to the whole presentation then?
Shut up, Adam.
For people
give him
to
his gym,
hash all that
and then
stuff
you
out or
can
whatever,
press
but it's very lackluster.
He's talking through Adam.
He's rumpusing me. I was talking first, and he started. Right, have a word with him.
I pushed play while you were talking. Sorry.
Okay, hold on. Go ahead, Adam, and then we'll get on for a solid minute of hearing what he's actually got to say. Go ahead.
I don't know how long this presentation is, but it would seem polite to allow them to just give his if it is a presentation, and to let him do it, not as just jump in.
No, can't do it. Nope, because this presentation goes on from, if you're watching, from here to here. So no way. Not a chance.
It looked like his presentation.
Okay, fair enough.
So
it doesn't summarize it in a nice, concise 60-second slot at the beginning. It would be like, okay, I'm going to go through why you don't need all of the different fakery of NASA, because ultimately outer space is fake. You can't have gas pressure without a container. He doesn't do that, right? He doesn't give a nice little summary at the beginning then.
No.
Oh, bummer. Okay, well, take back everything I just said.
That's not right, is it, QE? Sleeping warrior, what should you do? Tell him what you're going to tell him, and then tell him what you've told him. That's a disappointment for me.
You guys better shut up. Let's get into this. But we'll stop at appropriate times, okay?
In terms of like actual structure, actually getting two people to convey ideas about the subject matter that they're talking about, and in terms of being prepared and stuff. So I think it'll be really interesting and an elevated contribution to the overall discussion.
Yeah, and I'm not somebody who
I'm
not somebody who shies away from hearing the other side, because if you're really looking for the truth, then you have to hear your opponent's position.
What? You're not somebody to shy away? We've been hearing our opponents, Jaron, for how many years now? For you, close to 10? Have you gotten a clue yet on what their positions are? You idiot, treasonous, treacherous traitor, dumbass. My God, sir.
Position. Now, a lot of us know
he has shied away.
Globe believers even,
yep.
But it's still okay to hear them out.
It's still okay to hear them out. Let's put on our open-toed sandals and really bad breath, and let's hear them out after 9 or 10 years of hearing them out. Let's do it again. In clown.
And just because somebody presents something that makes you think or makes you have to go back to the drawing board, that's part of growing.
Makes us go back to the drawing? What is this, argument by cliche? I'll tell you what's growing. It's my utter contempt for your dumbassery. That's what's growing, you clown.
That's part. I see too much people who just...
I see too much people. That's what I should title this show.
Somebody give him a lesson in speech.
Oh,
let's
God.
just okay. We're gonna be here all day, as you said at the beginning. Let's just take it as read that there's going to be multiple sentence fragments from Jaron. Let's just skirt past them till we get to the point.
Okay.
Dig their feet in and basically say, "Okay, we're done.
Give us a number
now."
Shut up, Adam.
2 minutes. Full 2 minutes uninterrupted. So we're at 1 minute. What are we? 45:51. So we've got to get to.
No, I don't train to time.
48.
No.
48,
No.
no interruptions.
I do not train to time. I'm sorry. No.
We'll just sit here and do this.
Why don't we just see what comes natural?
Just shut the hell up, and I'll stop it when I stop it.
Okay, but can you let us talk as well?
Yes.
If we're succinct.
It's not being intellectually honest.
I'll tell you what.
Honest, you're not
Just reiterating
allowing the other
rules.
side.
Adam, shut the fuck up! My
No, sorry.
God! You're going to be allowed to speak. When I stop it, you will be allowed to speak. Just let it go. I've already hit it 6 fucking times.
And this is what we've been so upset about, right? When we talk about the flat Earth, it's like, oh, well, the globe Earth just sits there and they won't even hear it out. Well, we just go and do the opposite. We do the same thing. And so I don't think that's very intellectually honest. I don't mind hearing people out. And I think the more I hear these guys out, the more sometimes I realize they don't know. So I want people to talk.
Yeah.
I want people to bring up these conversations. And if something of flat Earth that we all believe gets debunked or gets torn apart, then that's a good thing, because it means we go back to the drawing board and we figure some stuff out that we didn't otherwise know. So thanks.
Well, do it already then, During.
Yeah.
Go back to the drawing board, because you have been debunked.
Oh, he's heard us out. I'm not sure what hearing somebody out means in terms of validating any opinion or viewpoint.
Exactly.
And particularly from a personal point of view, you know, on this side, things that Jaron's heard out, I'm not sure that he heard anything, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yep.
I think it's going to be good. And you're right. I think I want to hear people, rather than fight each other too, right? It shouldn't be a fight.
Okay,
And
I'm
this
gonna-
is not
I'm gonna
terminated. 12 topics. I want 12
He's just
topics.
gonna
These 12
drone
things you've
on like
already
a
said
fucking
you're gonna talk
idiot.
about. Green and I believe ready to go.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
I'll stop you if I have
So-
any questions too.
Shut your mouth. How about that?
Okay, yeah. So that was a great preface that you gave to Michelson-Morley and the historicity of the experiment and its significance
It's not an experiment. There is no historicity to a non-experiment.
and the role in mainstream physics. Because after this experiment, you know,
All right, this guy starts his presentation, and his mic is a busted friggin' chainsaw. After all that shit. Here we go.
after this null result, so-called, all of physics was redefined to.
Back to all of physics was redefined again. They're parroting off each other. Physics has not been redefined. It's the study of matter and energy and the interactions thereof. It's always been that way. It's never changed, and it's still that way now.
To compensate
quick point
for this
on that.
experiment.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand. That's twice I've heard it now. So I'm trying to. You've alluded to Einstein in the past. If you're going to allude to how the way physics is, as I said, they up until Michelson-Morley and these things, which really does is the death nail in the coffin of ether. Even for Einstein, then that's the only kind of paradigm shift that there isn't this medium for the conveyance of light, i.e., the luminiferous ether. That's the only change in physics I can think that they're alluding to.
I could think of change. They initiated optical opinions.
Oh, brother. Thanks, Arwen. You're that's a sharp one. Thanks.
And so that the validity of heliocentrism wouldn't be in question. We'll get more into that as we go through. So the title of the presentation is the Michelson-Morley experiment, demonstration, experiment, or parlor trick. We're going to get into the scientific method a little bit and what is an experiment.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Sort of stuff real quick.
Right from the fire into the blast furnace. Thank you very much, Alan. Please, floor is yours.
So the scientific method, what it is and what it isn't. So it's not a formula and it's not magic. So you can't just use abstract math to explain everything. And it's not a magic solution to everything. It's an ever-evolving progression towards the truth.
It's an ever-evolving progression towards the truth. That's what the scientific method is, according to this idiot. Just made it up.
And that's what this section down here kind of reiterates. What you're looking for is a cause and effect relationship with.
Okay, he's looking for a cause and effect relationship. Of course, that's incorrect. It's a natural effect, and we're going to find out what causes it. So he's wrong already.
Phenomenon, and you're doing experiments to isolate that cause and effect relationship and narrow down, your explanation as to that phenomenon, underlying principles of what's causing it, right?
Oh, brother.
And there's some definitions that to define, to set by, so we all know that we're speaking the same language here. So a hypothesis is a statement that's made by a researcher that is a working assumption that is
Hold on one
tested
second, real quick.
prove-
Sorry, Alan. You're
Same
roboting.
for me.
Yeah, you're roboting. I'm gonna actually shut down my video, so I'm not.
I'm stopping it here. Everyone, we're all going to take a look now at Alan's definitions, and I'll go through them while they're fixing his dumbass mic. So, as he said, definitions, it is important to understand 3 important terms before describing the scientific method. Here we go. Hypothesis. See if this is a hypothesis. This is a statement made by a researcher that is a working assumption. Incorrect. It's not working, and it's definitely not an assumption. It's a supposition. To be, look at this. Well, hold on a second. To be tested and proven. Jaron, this is going to be your ass. Even in this cluster screw of a definition. It is something considered, it's cut off over here. I'm thinking this says true. It is something considered, I don't know, the purpose of the investigation. This is from Webster's Dictionary, 1995. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan's hypothesis is an example might be the earth is round. That's his hypothesis, folks. He would fail 5th grade general science. This presentation is basically over right now. He's just compromised himself. Let me ask you a question, Alan. What's the natural phenomena observed here? Is it round? Can you tell me what's the cause of the is round? Is it the earth or is? Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're at. Any comments on this before I get the theory?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, he's absolutely compromised the whole presentation as he's shown that he does not understand scientific method. So how can he make a decision on whether the Michelson-Morley demonstration can be called an experiment? You can't. If you don't know what an experiment is, a natural science experiment, then you can't determine whether something is a natural science experiment.
Jaron will, of course, call him a scammer immediately after going through these details because it has the word proven in it. This is a working assumption, as QE already identified, a suppositional statement. Nevertheless, to be tested and proven. All right, well, according to Jaron, if you say science proves things, you're a scammer. Oh, what's that we're proving Michelson-Morley? Oh, there is no way he's going to get called a scammer then, is he? Just me gets called a scammer when I say science proves things. But in this hypothesis, it's utter tripe. We're proving things. Therefore, he's a scammer, right? Like Dave Weiss is a scammer.
Epic point, Nathan.
Yes, sir. Adam, you got anything to say about this?
Yeah.
The Earth is round hypothesis.
I'll comment on that first. Yeah, I mean that shows a lack of understanding, and I was happy at first. That's why I brought it in. Well, what's wrong with that? Was what I was going to say is this is a statement made by the researcher that is a working assumption. But we're not going to assume it. If we're not assuming it, we already know it, don't we? So there'd be no point in formulating a hypothesis in the first place. Yeah, and what I liked next was to be tested and proven within the experiment. I'm happy with all of that. I thought brilliant. And then the context in which that's used is what's, like I said, the point where we're not really grasping cause and effect, are we?
No.
Earth, therefore round. If Earth, I don't get it.
He added that afterwards.
I think
at the end. Right.
I think if somebody can look up Webster, if somebody could type in part of this statement, I can't do it. If somebody can do that and see if this is an example in his definition. Somebody on the panel, please.
Doesn't
Neil.
look like it, by the way. Typically, whenever I cite something, I'll take the section that I'm going to cite, trim it, quotes around it, and then afterwards, in brackets, right, dictionary 1995. Yeah, afterwards, after the entirety of the cut section, what you've got here is description of a hypothesis up until the point that Adam and I would potentially be okay with it, not 100% because there's errors like the assumption over supposition, but it's okay, right? But then you've got this bit on the end. An example might be a concrete noun. What? That don't make no sense. So I think he's just put this on at the end.
Assumption is the jittery word, isn't it?
It's incorrect.
I don't know as it is in this sense because it's followed by it's the working assumption. And what you're assuming that this is the cause. You're going to experiment to prove it, and this is what he says. Look, that is the working assumption to be tested and proven. I'm absolutely fine with that.
I'm not
either. The reason I'm not is because you say you've got a working assumption. Well, then how can it be a working assumption if you've also, in the exact same statement, got the contrapositive of that statement? How can it be, quote, working if it contains a complete contradiction in the statement?
Because it's a working assumption, and this is where the point. Because I also thought at first, because a working assumption, because something you're developing, you've not took to the scientific method yet to full experiment, but you're working on it in terms of cause and effect and preponderance of things, and that kind of magical. Yeah,
okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's a distinction, I think, from that kind of working assumption where you're kind of background researching before you get anywhere near hypothesis and then a construction of an experiment. I think it's talking about what the purpose of the experiment is.
Yeah, it's incorrect. It's incorrect. You need to go back to my science. It's incorrect.
We'll give it a little bit of latitude just so we can move on. But I think Brian's looked it up to see if that was added.
Hypothesis in Merriam-Webster. That's what you're looking for, is it?
1995.
Definition? 1995. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
I'll come back to it.
Yeah, let's move on. This is a train wreck, and his example is a train wreck. This is not a hypothesis. It fell. 3rd grade Intro to General Science. Let's move on to theory. There's no citation here, by the way. So I don't know where he got this from. General principles drawn from facts that explain observations. That's incorrect. And can be used to predict new events. That is also incorrect. His examples. An example would be Newton's theory of gravitation. Ladies and gentlemen, Isaac Newton never proposed a scientific theory, a single one, in his life. It is the universal law of gravitation, and he himself said that he feigns no hypotheses. Does everyone remember that?
Yes.
Let's get to it. Sorry, you guys won't see this. I'm not switching screens, but you know exactly what I'm going to. Let's go to Newton. Sorry, folks. I don't have it queued up.
We should do some music.
No, I got it right now. Newton, shout out to Adam Principia. I have not as yet been able to discover the reason for these properties of gravity from phenomena, and I do not feign hypotheses. Yep, he makes no hypothesis because he can't. It's nonsensical. It's not science. Ladies and gentlemen, this is false. So this is a train wreck of epic proportions right here. Or Einstein's theory of relativity. Einstein, there is no hypotheses in any of Einstein's so-called theories, so making them non-scientific theories. Simple. This is a train wreck.
Just so the audience knows what a theory actually is, it's the result of validated experimentation, which was based on validatable hypotheses, which was based on observed natural phenomena.
Yep.
A theory would be to say that you varied the sunlight intake of a plant as one experiment, and you varied the iron content of the soil in a different experiment, and then the result of the two experiments validated through systematic experimentation might give you the quote-unquote theory of plant growth. That's what a theory would be, the results of experiments, basically.
Just in terms of that, yeah, you mentioned it wasn't referenced, and I've read it a couple of times, and that smells to me like something that pseudoscientists would try and substitute for hypothesis when using mathematics. I'll read it again. General principles drawn from facts that explain observations and can be used to predict new events. That's what a lot of the modern pseudoscience uses, yeah? General principles drawn from facts that explain observations and can be used to predict. That's why I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, no, that's not a theory. That's what pseudoscience substitutes for a hypothesis.
Yep. You're exactly right. Yep.
Spot on, Adam.
I'm not finding anything from 1995 other than one thing from Webster's where it's there's a particular person mentioned, somebody who was a scientist or something at the time. But I'm not finding what's written on the screen. I'm not finding that anywhere. I'm finding different definitions, but not finding that.
You need a DeLorean, Brian?
I need the book. He probably has a Webster's dictionary from 1995, and he just wrote straight out of whatever was in that.
No, what you need to do, Brian, is take this complete statement. This is a statement made by a researcher that is a working assumption to be tested and proven. You got to type that into a search engine and then hit enter, and it should pop up. But don't worry about it.
Okay, sorry.
Don't worry about it. We already know it's a train wreck. His hypothesis is a train wreck. His theory is a train wreck that's not cited. Now we get into falsifiable null hypotheses. This is
sorry, isn't that redundant? Isn't that redundant? We've already covered hypothesis, right? And we've had our objections. Then we've gone on to what is incorrectly labelled as theory, but is actual substitution of hypothesis by pseudoscientists. Now we're into falsifiable / null hypothesis. Wouldn't that be hypothesis, which we've already covered?
Yeah, let's give him enough rope to hang himself with. He's back to Webster's Dictionary, 1995. Falsifiable, to prove to be false. Wow, Captain Obvious. Thanks for that. We wouldn't have known that if you wouldn't have told us. Listen to this. The hypothesis that is generated must be able to be tested and either accepted or rejected. I added the or over here because it's cut off. Listen to this one. Scientists make hypotheses that they want to disprove in order that they may prove the working assumption. It's a clusterfuck of nonsense.
It's a mess. It's a mess. But I can vaguely translate that into what is meant by it. You want to disprove your null so you can prove your alternative hypothesis. What they're saying, your working hypothesis would be loosely translated into alternative.
Yes.
Positive assumption of cause. And you want to disprove your null. You want to falsify your null. You don't want to get a zero difference result. That's what that's loosely translated into. But it's an absolute cluster screw.
Yep. You are correct.
Nobody starts with the null. The null is the antithesis of everything within the experiment. So scientists make hypotheses they want to do. That's the thing that's just nonsensical. No, otherwise you're just wandering around in the dark, aren't you?
Yes.
Testing things. Yeah.
I want to disprove unicorns today.
That's your working. Are unicorns your working assumption?
Absolutely, my working hypothesis is unicorns.
Oh, if that your working hypothesis is unicorns, then let's disprove tomato soup.
Indeed,
and we can rule it
out. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is such an epic fail. You gotta give him kudos for defining terms, but this is it's beyond laughable.
I like
What
defining
happened?
terms and then redefining the same term under a different incorrect title, and then redefining the redefining of the title with the same title as the original title but a different description. I find that works really well.
Yep. Yep. That's what he's going to do coming up here shortly. Go ahead, Brian. Last one till we got to move on.
Yeah. What this is instead of watching your presentations on the scientific method and learning what exactly it is, he just went with a kind of a loose understanding of what he thinks you're talking about, and then just went with a definition from a dictionary. Because there's no way any of us would ever pull up a definition like that. Like he's pulled up, there was definitions there. So, I mean, it's obvious that he made a point of not actually just watching your presentation, whether it's out of dislike for you or just thinking he already knew. I don't know. I can't state his motive, but he definitely has it wrong.
Just remembered a shortcut. So I think it was Jem Panda about 5 years ago, right? Came onto the debate and Quantum Eraser happened to be there. And he started talking about a method, because there's many methods of science according to these numpties. And after he'd gone through nonsense waffle, what QE did was say, take us through the method then. How do you go about proving something with the method? Take us through it step by step. In other words, okay, let's take all of this as read. It's on screen now, with definitions, hypothesis, theory, and falsifiable/null hypothesis, all of which is taken as read. Fine. Now take us through, with all of that notwithstanding, how it's going to actually work, what we're going to do, and see how he gets on. See if he can turn this nonsense waffle into a coherent method of proving something. He won't be able to because it's nonsense. It's so disconnected from the actual scientific method that you couldn't turn it into a process.
Yep.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. Just this Divergent Droid, he posted on the BALLBUSTERS text chat this scientific method extension that you're looking for. And just one little note, guys. Since this panel is huger every day, I have some youngsters listening, so please, if you can less swear. QA, thank you.
Yeah,
I
got
can't.
told off by a dad.
I can't. Yeah, that's. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to put your youngsters away. I'll do my best. I can't promise anything.
Doesn't mean kill them.
No. Just put them in the other room. But I understand.
Thank you, sir.
I'll do my best. Okay. All right. Let's go on with this. Let's see where. But from this point, ladies and gentlemen, the whole presentation is bunk. So we're just laughing and walking on graves now. It's over.
I'm lost.
Adding to.
Wait, I've not finished.
Go ahead.
I was gonna. It's important to understand 3 important terms before describing the scientific method. 1, hypothesis. 2, theory. Is this next one like a subcategory of the second one after the third one?
Don't know. We just made it up.
Where is the third one? Because where's experiment?
Yeah, I know. I was going to say something about that, but thank you. Yeah, as soon as you said that, I said, where's the experiment at? Yeah. This one, falsifiable, it shouldn't be falsifiable. It should be null hypothesis underneath hypothesis. Experiment, then theory. That's the way it should go. Yep, you're correct.
I have a good definition there. Well, reasonably good definition from Merriam-Webster's about the difference between a hypothesis and a theory. It was in Vanity Fair in 1995. If you want, I'll read it out. Just the first paragraph of it.
Please.
Will I go? Okay. Yeah. What to know? A hypothesis is an assumption made before any research has been done. It is formed so that it can be tested to see if it might be true. A theory is a principle formed to explain the things already shown in data. Because of the rigors of experiment and control, it is much more likely that a theory will be true than a hypothesis.
Yeah, that's bunk. That's nonsense.
the comparison between the two
they're somewhat close to it.
And I didn't like the first sentence, but the sentiment is correct. Yeah.
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 And probably the probability in the last statement is probably correct as well, because you're more likely to be able to come up with a theory of something after you've proved stuff with science than you are just come up with something and prove it with science.
Yeah, I mean, the theory will be
Okay, we're
proven.
going to move on. Thank you, Brian. But yes, the closing statement was to say that better off with proof than you guess before you prove. It means it's so inane. Oh, right. Thank you for that. Anyway, thank you, Brian. Sorry
Yeah,
to demean your
that was
hard work.
It's a train wreck on many levels. All right, we're going to continue now, okay?
Bandwidth. Let me do that real quick. I don't think you don't have your camera on or anything.
Now there's going to be a delay here because they're going to try to change platforms, if I remember correctly.
Right.
No.
Okay. And Zach, you don't have anything on? How do I turn this off?
No.
I'll do it from OBS. Let me do it
Okay,
from
let's
here.
do a
Stop
couple
my-
L's.
Sorry again. You miss.
Nice.
You
Yeah.
forgot that I told you on your chat there is Divergent Droid, the excellent guy. He found this article that you're looking for, sir.
So somebody's going to have to get that. I can't do it right now. Can somebody grab that from Divergent Droid? Thanks a lot for that, but thanks for the reminder, and thanks, Divergent Droid. Can somebody snatch that?
I nominate Brian because he needs to redeem himself.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's
The
probably
brilliant
the
definition.
cleanest we
I
can
just
get,
say
so
that
hopefully
it held
things are a little
potential.
clearer. If not, we'll have you drop out.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, it's just my internet's just the time of day. So the
There is-
investigation example
chill
of
out.
that might be the Earth is round. Using that as a working
The Earth is round.
hypothesis.
Using that as a working hypothesis, he said. Go ahead, Adam.
It was just, I think, what Boyd's posted. What this guy's posted is the first bit of a web page from University of Nevada, Reno. That might mean more to you Americans than I. And it's the College of Agriculture, Biotechnology and Natural Resources. And they describe the scientific method. The bit that's cited on screen is a little bit down, first couple of paragraphs down. Definitions, hypothesis, theory, falsifiable, null. Then goes into process. Step 1, make an observation. Step 2, define the problem. Step 3, form the hypothesis. Step 4, conduct the experiment. Step 5, derive a theory. Interesting you wouldn't cite that bit.
Yeah, we're going to, you know what? That sounds familiar because I think he pulls that up here in a few. Just hold on to that, Adam.
Your theory. So the theory, the general principles that are drawn from the event and make predictions about the event that you're trying to explain, and falsify a falsifiable and null.
He skips this whole part. An example would be Newton's theory of gravitation or Einstein's theory of relativity. He skipped that part and skipped this part. He didn't read them out. And he screwed up. It doesn't predict new events. He said it make predictions. So I don't know what is up with this guy, but he didn't read this off correctly.
Null hypothesis. So
It's
this
called
is
being lazy, Huey.
Yeah, it's being real lazy, and he's just pulling stuff out of his butt. But it's going to train wreck here because his mic's going to go down the drain again.
This has to be something that can be false. It's not something that that you can just, they can't just make an unfalsifiable claim. So that's kind of the framework that we're looking at here. So how's it sound now? Is it better?
I think what I'm going to do, you can keep going, but I might open up a...
There it is, Adam. I knew I seen that. There it is. The process, scientific method. Step 1, make an observation. This is incorrect. I can make an observation right now. I can look outside and look at a tree. And that's not a viable dependent variable. So this is incorrect, step number 1. Step number 2, define the problem. I have never seen this before in my life. Make an observation and define the problem. You said you guys found it. It's from University in Nevada at Reno. Yes.
Why would a phenomena be a problem?
That's
Very
what,
odd
yeah, I know.
vernacular, isn't it?
I'll define the problem. It's crayon munching idiot treacherous, treasonous traitors, flat earthers who don't know their ass from a pipe wrench. I just defined the problem. Form the hypothesis, create an explanation. A hypothesis is not an explanation. Or educated guess. That's part of a hypothesis, but part is that you don't get any credit for that. That's incorrect.
Superchat.
Adam.
I was just about to say how much. Thank you, Flatsy. Sorry, where are we?
Well,
I'm still got to go. I ain't got a super chat. Oh, I have. Bloody Coriolis. Anyway, James Mays, oh, you're a legend. Honestly, Mrs. Q8, but it's another pink one.
Really?
Pink one. Yeah, it's another pink
Honey!
James Mays. Good show, guys. Cheers.
Thanks.
100 people watching. Oh, 100 people watching. Oh, thanks, James, for letting me know. I'm a little oblivious, as I have to thank Flatsy as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, James. Adam. How many glasses of wine you had this evening?
I think sometimes it sounds better when you're talking larger units.
Fair enough. All right. So this is where we got. I think this is what you're probably looking at the University of Nevada, Reno. Yes. This is
asking me flagons. How many flagons of wine?
Flagons. Yeah, that's.
Wow. Then we're into the. I'm happy like that. Yeah, we're in the decimals, low decimals.
That's a new word that I'm going to write that down. We'll get back to that. But yeah, this is it. I'm going to continue. This is a train wreck, folks.
A Zoom and just see if Zoom, because we'll be able to tell right away, is Zoom better than
They're gonna go. But when you were at the end there, when you were speaking a little slower,
they're going to go to the admin. So I'm just going to do a whole bunch of L's till we get to some type of semblance of presentation.
Why are you doing that? I'll make the point where I said it's just lazy. If you're going to go and do this, you don't just run off to the University of where did I find it? Wherever it was, Reno. Yeah, and just hijack their stuff. You put it together to make sense to yourself. And this is clearly not. Well, what are they doing? Agriculture. College of Agriculture, right? So this is that's your point of reference. Yeah, but if you're going to do it yourself as well and make it constructible to what you're talking about. And this just seems to be just steal.
Right, we're back
Not
in.
noting the obvious. Step 1 and 2 is just what is that?
I don't
Find
know.
the problem. Well, I'll tell you the problem. Locusts eating my crops.
Sure. All right, here we go.
4, conduct an experiment. In step 5, derive a theory.
Oh,
based
sorry,
on
I'm going to have
all
to go
your
back a little bit.
Cumulative observation. See where we leave off. So going through the scientific method, the processes of experiments and all that. So we got step 1, make an observation. Step 2, define the problem. Step 3, form a hypothesis. Step 4, conduct an experiment. And step 5, derive a theory based on all.
This is incorrect. These steps are incorrect.
All your cumulative evidence and data from your experiments. And then the most important step, in my opinion, is replication.
Whoa, wait a second. The most important step, according to him, is replication. Where's replication here? It's not a step. What on earth is going on here? Ladies and gentlemen, he just said the most important step is that step. It's not in these steps, is it? Unbelievable.
If you look at paragraph formation, you've got process as a paragraph with all the 5 steps. Then the next new paragraph is replication, which would be to imply that replication is not part of the process, being it's not step 6.
Yep.
Or as it's identified as a new paragraph after the paragraph of process.
Yes.
Oh.
Well,
so
if I wanted,
hold on. Nonsense waffle translation is the 5 steps, and the most important step is all 5 steps.
No, the next important step is the next paragraph after the steps.
Brian.
Well, yeah, well, I'd like to cut to the chase. I can't define motivation, but if I wanted to call something an experiment, then if I laid in with these definitions, then that would allow me to do that.
Yeah, that's going to grease the skids for him. You know what he's going to do next, don't you?
I'm pretty sure.
Yep, because he's going to go through these steps with the Michelson-Morley. Yes, he's greasing the skids right here with his horse shit. Yeah. And then the replication is going to come back to the 5 million measurements. You got it. Yeah. Boy, you could.
But I don't understand what that is, because according to Jaron, science doesn't prove anything.
Thanks, Neil. You are correct. That's an inbuilt contradiction that's still out there. Sure.
Yeah, but on the highway of like dealing with Jaron, that is the highway. Whoosh, Neil. Well done. Very good point. Yeah, science doesn't prove anything. Woo, with his V12.
Here we go.
Drive a theory based on all your cumulative evidence and data from your experiments. And then the most important step, in my opinion, is replication of that experiment. So other people should be able to replicate your results. So in the case of Michelson,
this is for experiments. That's repeatability, but this isn't an experiment, so he's in a category here.
Morley, we're going to get into, was that result?
Let me just read this. Using the scientific method to answer questions about events or phenomena we observe can be repeated to fine-tune our theories. That's a nonsense waffle. That's not what happens. For example...
Oh, no, QA, that again shows... How do you fine-tune whether it caused it or it didn't?
You can't.
Just fine-tune that a bit more for me.
Yeah, you can't. It's like I said, it's a nonsense waffle. It's a category error. He's going to give an example here. I don't know where he got this from. Maybe from the University of Nevada. I don't know. He doesn't put a citation in here. For example, if we conduct research using the scientific method and think we have answered a question, but different results occur the next time we make an observation. What? What? Make an observation of the experimental setup or make an observation of the natural phenomena? Yeah, this is a cluster screw. We may have to ask new questions and formulate new hypotheses that are tested by another experiment. This is a nonsense waffle. Sometimes scientists...
I'll give you an example of what this applies to. This applies to, well, the second time we took an atomic clock to space, we got slightly different variance in the time shift.
Thank you. Sometimes scientists must perform many experiments over many years or even decades using the scientific method. Watch out, Jaron. To prove or disprove theories. Then are generated from one initial question. I would like to see an example of that.
If I do this for 25 years, then insert whatever you wish.
Yep.
What the hell was that?
It's a nonsense waffle. Numerous
theories are already.
Numerous studies are often necessary to fully test the broad range. Now we're testing the results. That makes no sense. That occur in order that scientists can formulate theories that truly account for the variation we see in our natural environment. We finally get to it.
Because remember, go back and all of a sudden, if you're talking about seeds, and over generations, it makes sense. Yeah, if you're going to try and foist this scientific method onto, what was it? Let me go back to the page. What was it?
Agriculture.
agriculture, yeah, and foist science onto agriculture, then you're going to bastardize it in this way, where we're creating questions based on it not making sense. But if, like I say, I'm talking about seeds, suddenly I want to elucidate science, it makes a bit more sense from the University of Reno.
It does make more sense. What you're saying is, out in Reno, they've got to try and figure out a problem for a question that's been posed by Monsanto. How do we make these more efficient, this process? That's the problem. Well, if they're going to claim that they're offering up proof, i.e. worth their money, the researchers in the university being paid by Monsanto in my hypothetical example, then they're going to say, yeah, we're going to adhere to the scientific method. But it's had to go a slight bit of massaging so that we can formulate in your question where there is no natural phenomena to study. You do need some science for your question, right? We can give you that. It'll cost you X. That's how this happens.
Yeah.
Well, the one part I'd like to focus on there is the definition was read out that scientific method tests theories. No, it doesn't. That's completely wrong, as you know only too well, QE.
Yep.
It's scientific method is what creates a theory. It's the backbone of the theory. It's like the theory are proven hypotheses. That's what a theory is based on. It doesn't test theories. The proving of the hypothesis becomes part of a theory. It's completely wrong.
Exactly. You got it, Brian. Yes.
And as for repeating experiments over and over again to acquire this refinement, it's like, no, if you've performed an experiment, the outcome is either A causes B, supposition causes effect, or A doesn't cause B, supposition doesn't cause effect. Right? You're going to get one or other outcome. The only point of repetition in actual science, when you're adhering to the method, is to eliminate flaws in the apparatus, the researcher, or the hypothesis itself, which should have been caught before you got to experiment. But nevertheless, there's a whole plethora of reasons that someone might have basically ballsed it up. That's why you follow it through on multiple occasions with different people, all following the same hypothesis, that is to say, all varying the same independent variable and inducing the same effect by varying that independent variable. Now, when you know that's the case, that valid hypothesis, that's a actualized hypothesis, aka experiment, with a positive outcome, that's to say it's validated the alternative, in the mind's eye of the guy that does it, hasn't, let's just say for this example, hasn't got any flaws in his apparatus and hasn't got a flaw in his hypothesis to begin with and isn't a complete idiot. Yeah? That guy, once he's done the experiment once and shown, I vary this, and that happens. Once he's done it once, him, that's all he needs. But it isn't enough to convince the world, because there are idiots out there. Hence, you do require, as part of the method, the repetition. However, once you do it once, you've shown that you vary A and it causes B. And that will never, ever change, but for the fact that you have idiots, flaws in apparatus, etc., etc. If it hasn't got those things, you only need one, because it's never going to change.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep. All right. So he's done greasing the skids with his train wreck. Like I said, this is all over. He revealed himself as just a numpty. They shouldn't be around natural science whatsoever. Like I said, they just grabbed him off the straight. Right? But you know what he's done? He's greasing the skids for his Michelson-Morley horseshit. Here we go.
Repeated, and we'll learn about that.
He's mumbling now.
Along. So following that,
Here we go. Step 1, observation. Throughout the course of a year, the stars we see in the night sky change every 6 months. Lovely. Then he has a question beneath it. Is the Earth in motion with celestial bodies, or is the Earth at rest with respect to the celestial bodies?
Okay. So part 1 has a potential to be a phenomena. If you say the change in these stars will be our dependent variable, that would be the only thing that you're trying to figure out the cause of if you're actually going to perform science.
Yep.
That is to say, you're going to establish the cause. What causes the stars we see in the night sky to vary every 6 months? Your experiment will have a supposition that will be something that you will be capable of variation to cause the effect of the star variation every 6 months. That's what an actual experiment would achieve in this regard, if that is your natural phenomena.
I'm not being an arse here, although I am. What does that first sentence even mean? Throughout the course of the year, the stars we see in the night sky change every 6 months. So the stars change what, twice a year? I don't know what that initial statement means.
Right. Yes, I see where you're going, Adam. Change. What do you mean? Change color?
No.
Position?
I assume, even if I'm assuming position, well, they rotate every night. Okay. Is that what you said? I don't understand what the statement means.
Yes.
It might become clearer later. But throughout a year, 6 months is quite pertinent because it's half of it. So they change once, maybe twice at the end of the year. I don't
I see where you're going. Yeah. Yep.
However, okay, yes, that's correct. It's far too vague. However, let's say he was here and we could actually ask him, and we say, "Now, what do you actually mean by that?" And he says, "This particular position versus that particular position changes over the course of 6 months." You go, "Okay, therefore, phenomena we are studying and in fact trying to induce by way of variation of a supposed cause of that effect, that's going to be our experiment then." In other words, the next step is to say, what do you think? That's a suppositional statement, not assumption that's going to be working. Nothing's working yet. What do you think causes what you've just described in this very vague statement about star change every 6 months?
Correct.
Because we'll vary that thing that you suppose might cause that and see if it actually does or not. Because that'll be an experiment. But we're gonna I know already, without watching this, from this point, scope of what will be discussed and what it will be proving will expand massively from this point forward.
Yeah, but no, Nathan, read the second sentence. So what you've just described, kudos to you. This is exactly what everything's going to explain. Is the Earth in motion with the celestial bodies, or is it at rest with respect to the celestial bodies? That's what's going to be investigated.
Okay, no. That's an independent variable right there. Okay, so now we've got a full hypothesis. This is absurd. I'll lay it out as in there. So, if Earth motion and star change every 6 months, so the null hypothesis is the lack of Earth motion. Yeah, that's it. That's what we've got. So our independent variable is going to be the motion of Earth.
Yes.
So this dickwad has now got to try and vary the motion of Earth in order to vary and manipulate his supposed cause of this effect, to validate it with science.
Or is the Earth at rest with respect to the celestial bodies? So he's going to have to vary the celestial bodies.
He's gonna have to manipulate the Earth.
So in the first point, we've not got a cause and effect issue here. Is it? We've got is it this or is it that issue? Haven't we? We're saying, is it the Earth spinning or is it the stars spinning? So is that a question for science?
No.
It's not, but in the absurd way that I can do these things, I can formulate that, as I did, into a hypothesis which would say, if I vary the motion of Earth, I will induce star change. That's his hypothesis.
Yep.
Well, it's very obvious why he chose that definition of hypothesis, as it involves the globe or rotation, that type of thing, because that's exactly where he's going to bring this presentation to, how what was seen as proof of rotation or claimed to be proof of rotation is proof of non-rotation. and proves the ether and whatever else. Do you know what I mean? So that's where he's going with it. That's why that makes more sense now. Why he used that particular definition.
It's taken what is a perceived phenomena and turned it into a question about the sky, and then given a dichotomy or false dichotomy that's not even capable of variation as a substitute for a hypothesis. That's what's occurred so far. That's a pretty good summary.
Here we go.
Method, that framework of the scientific method. We're going to take a look. We're going to examine heliocentrism and geocentrism and see if there's an experiment that could be formed to differentiate between the two models. So step one.
So he's talking about two models, heliocentrism and geocentrism. That's his two models. He doesn't know what a model is, but go ahead.
I was going to say, when was he talking about two models? How have we suddenly branched from what is hypothesis construction into this false dichotomy? When did that happen? Did I miss it?
Just now.
Okay.
Observation. Throughout the course of a year, the stars we see in the night sky change every 6 months. Is the Earth in motion with the celestial bodies, or is the Earth at rest with respect to the celestial bodies? Step 2, defining the problem. Is the sky...
Okay, so QA. That's a perfectly reasonable question, but it doesn't have anything to do with flat Earth. It addresses whether it's geocentric.
Yes, you got it. Yep, that's one catch. Good. +1 for Adam so far. He caught that early. Okay. Now he's going to define the problem for you. Is the sky moving, or are we moving with the sky? From our terrestrial perspective and models, he hasn't defined, he doesn't know what they are. The models are based solely on observations, i.e. calculative models based on recurring cycles. There's no way to differentiate between the correctness of the axioms of heliocentrism. What? What are axioms doing in here? Or the axioms of geocentrism with respect to the rotation of the sky? What do you mean, axioms of heliocentrism? And what are they doing here? This is a convoluted gaggle screw of meaningless nothing. Did you guys assimilate this?
Yes, been on.
It's a nonsense waffle.
Yeah.
Sky moving, or are we moving with the sky? From our terrestrial perspective and models based solely on observations, i.e. calculative models based on reoccurring cycles, there's no way to differentiate between the correctness of the axioms of heliocentrism and the axioms of geocentrism with respect to the rotation of the sky.
Pause.
And the big...
I agree with him. As he's saying, based on...
Well, that's true.
Something that... Well, he's almost describing a natural law. Listen to it.
Yeah.
Based on something that always happens, there's no way you can tell why it happens.
Yes.
Is what he's saying. So I kind of agree with him.
Yes, no, I'm not saying I disagree with this, but it has no business in the scientific method, Adam.
It's got nothing. I referenced it to natural law specifically.
Yeah, I know you did. Yep, exactly.
Brian's got a
almost.
to make.
Go ahead. Nathan, then Brian. Nathan, what did you say?
No, I was saying Brian's got a point he wants to make.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Brian.
That's not what he said. he said Brian's got a concise point he wants to make. That's what he said.
Oh, did he? All right. Got it.
Yeah. I actually was going to, and I stopped myself on purpose, going to conflate what they're talking about concerning ether and these claimed effects they're seeing with entropy. But then I stopped myself and go, no, because then they'll start aligning with it as if what they've got is somehow aligned with entropy. It's like, no, it's like the effects they're claiming doesn't matter, like that they don't know the cause of, kind of thing. I didn't want them turning around and going, yeah, it's just like entropy. It's natural law, it's nature, it's definitely there. This kind of thing. We don't know the cause, X, Y, Z. I stopped myself from doing that, just off the back of what Adam said a minute ago.
Okay.
Because I stopped myself from doing that there a while back.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah, this axiom terms really. This is nonsense. He doesn't know what axioms are. I'll guarantee it.
Biggest axiom, of course, for heliocentrism would be that it requires that the Earth is also in motion, right? So that's like the big difference there between the two models in terms.
So that's an axiom is a self-evident truth. Is that self-evident, Alan?
Within their model, it is.
No, then it's not an axiom.
It's not an axiom. It's reification of the axiom within the model. Yes, Arwin.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
In terms of the axioms, so geocentric would be a stationary Earth, and heliocentrism was based on a Earth that's in motion. So those are the two models of what we see in the sky, and that's the interpretations that they put forward. So is the audio still good?
So far, so good.
Awesome.
You call that good?
Okay. So we're going to look at some heliocentric and geocentric models here.
He thinks this is a model. So we're going to go through a nonsense waffle of looking at fairy tale models. Got to do it.
For heliocentrism, you would have an Earth orbiting around the sun, changing position. So the sun would be blocking the star view in this direction. So people making observations at nighttime would be seeing this set of stars, at a particular time of the year. And then 6 months later, when the sun is blocking that side and they're looking on an opposite side, they're looking at a different set of stars. And as the Earth is going around in its circular orbit or elliptical or geodesic, depending on which belief system you adhere to.
So we're on belief systems and models. He doesn't know what a scientific model is.
Is that graphic supposed to be a model?
Yeah, yes. Every single one that he's going to present is going to be his scientific models, the different models, yes.
Couldn't he at least attempt to get it to scale?
I'm not worried about the scale. There's so many problems with this. It's ridiculous.
It's not major on the mind.
This is a good point to actually major on. What's it a model of? What does it model? It models nighttime. All it shows you. It doesn't require anything else. That's what it models for you. Nighttime. Look, there's the side of the ball pointing at the sun. As he said, the other side. That's nighttime with the stars, the sprinkly things. That's what it models.
I was going to say, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, could you have not just summarized this with the word heliocentric? There we go.
Heliocentrism. So here we have a nice visual layout of our solar system. We got the sun here at the center, the Earth going in a circle. Everything is going in a circle. Very cool. And then for the geocentric models, we have a stationary Earth here in the center.
Yep.
Wrong. He's even wrong about the description of the heliocentric model with everything going in a quote-unquote circle. Is it? All right. That was what I understood it to be. But there we go. Let's move on.
Notice what we have in the center. Notice what we have in the center that Adam brought up. He's still Baltard. Follow?
Yeah, stationary globe.
Yep.
There's one other bit before you move on.
Okay.
See that retrograde mode? I don't know about seeing that squirrely bit at the bottom where it's going backwards. You can ascribe that to it if you want to ascribe orbits and the things you see in the sky as orbits around a ball and the way they change position in a retrograde manner. That little bit of detail path, I'm yet to see that demonstrated. Mars moonwalking. Shamong backwards, it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. Yeah. So I want to expand on this because this is something that people may not understand very clearly. So as the stars move across your sky, they all move in a linear fashion. They're all moving together. You're not seeing any deviations in that respect. Okay. Following day, position that they start at when you start to see the stars as night comes into your view will be slightly different. The positions will be slightly different. Now, if you, like a flick book, plot those onto a page at a time and then flick through the book, you can make up the idea of the motion that is reintroduced the following day as being behind previous motion. That's described in current heliocentric nonsense as retrograde motion. There is no motion. It's an extrapolative idea based on the repositioning of the stars each new night. I hope that's concise enough.
Are
they
you
only
stating
go
east to west?
All go in the same
Nathan,
direction, with the exception of Polaris. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah, are you trying to give a good example, like an analogy that would help people understand what you mean? You're taking all the words from page 13 and you're putting them onto page 14. So the next night you're looking at page 14, but you didn't see the page turning.
You don't know what happened.
Yeah, you don't see any page turn. You just know the same words are there, but they're now on page 14. But you didn't see any turn from 13 to 14.
Yeah, because they're 12 hours apart, page 13 and 14.
Yeah, but you don't see any progression. You don't see, that's what Nathan's point is. There's no progression of how this became that. Last night it was this, tonight last night it was that, tonight it's this. But you didn't see anything in between. Yeah.
Just, the motion is described on the previous position and the assumption of a circular orbital motion. Remember, it's a point of resolution, heliocentrism. Yeah? That uncurls to allow you to have elliptical orbits around a sun instead of, whether it's a ball in the middle or not, observations of the motions of the luminaries. Some of them, all of them, just a few spooky ones.
Correct. And the elliptical motion, just to round that out, was where I objected initially and started this whole process off, because he said circular, demonstrating a lack of understanding of even the current heliocentric explanation that he's giving within these models. Go ahead, Kiwi.
And everything going around us, and you see these little curve patterns where it comes in and starts to go in and backwards and stuff, and those are to explain retrograde motions and things like that. So when you map out all the motions of the wandering stars and all that with the geocentric model, you'll start to get.
So I have an actual question. How do you explain the curvature of the horizon?
Stop rhombusing.
No, I'm not trying to be ignorant. I'm just asking. How do you explain the curvature of the horizon?
What curvature of the horizon?
Curvature horizon. As you move away from an object on a flat surface, right? It should gradually disappear from bottom up. But this is not what we actually observe.
Is this on topic? Is this on topic with my presentation?
No, I'm just genuinely trying to understand your point of view.
Well, you're going to be muted. So back to the presentation.
The water horizon.
Party crasher.
Yeah. So you can come back some other time with your horseshit waffle on curving horizons. That's not part of this discussion today.
I know. We were just about to reify retrograde motion. You know what I mean? I was just getting into that.
All right, we'll continue. Everyone be quiet. Go ahead, Kiwi.
Holographic projection of a magnet, which we'll look at here later. We'll blaze through some of these and just look at the models real quick, and just so you guys can see what we're talking about here. So these are this is what the orbital paths look like when plotted on a geocentric model. This is what it would look like overhead, if you were to see it.
And we've known this for supposedly thousands of years. I mean, Ptolemy.
What? Ptolemy? Have you got pneumonia on the brain? Maybe you need to see a psychologist. You clown. Zach. These people are idiots, folks. They're illiterate idiots. I present you Zach Zabala, one of the chief princes. Fucking Ptolemy, for God's sake.
Has a chart that shows a lot of these. I think it's just the 5 planets, though.
What's crazy too, I don't know if you've heard this, Alan. Did you know that Copernicus' system had more epicycles?
Yeah, they claim that Tycho's had more, whatever, but then it turns out it's the opposite. Yeah,
of course,
it's a mess, man. And then they do this whole thing where they're like, well, the mathematical elegance.
Who are they? Somebody gonna identify the they for us at some point?
And it's much simpler. And it's like, according to who, man?
Right.
So
That's what I'm asking. According
say
to
something.
That's what I'm asking. According to who, man? Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, they're talking about how Brahe and Copernicus, and how the two of them are a mess, especially Copernicus or whatever was a mess. It wouldn't it be more in their line, considering the start of the video, that they learn about the Kepler's analemma, considering that's the thing they're going to be arguing against in the next 6 months?
They're not connecting those two, Brian. You're light years, fathoms of light years away from that. They can't catch that. They wouldn't realize that.
Well, again, it's the same thing as them, basically saying, "Oh, well, all observations so we're the center of the Earth, so let's make up a theory about raisin bread and that we're all on these raisin breads."
Let's make up a theory about raisin bread. What the hell is he talking about?
I was just going to ask the same thing. What the hell was that?
Yeah, I haven't a clue. He doesn't know what a scientific theory is. That treasonous, treacherous traitor.
And then they just went in that direction. It's like, well, that's not. You didn't put equal opportunity on both options. You
didn't put equal opportunity on both options. What the hell does that mean? What the hell does that even mean?
You said one, we have to stay away from the absolute horror of that one, and then you went in the other direction, and people all think, oh yeah, science is on the up and up.
This isn't science, you idiot. Go ahead.
What he's talking about, I don't want you to whiz back, but earlier when you had the sheet up and it transposed from what is a hypothesis into what is a dichotomy, where we broke down what his hypothesis would actually be constructed out into. But what was actually laid out, although we were correcting it as he went, was a dichotomy. What Jaron's describing is shouldn't give one side of the false dichotomy more credence and just ignore the other side of the false dichotomy in science, because he's mistaken the variation of an assumed cause for what the guy has described as a dichotomy between two either or situations.
Yeah.
So he's replacing an if-then suppositional statement with an either or suppositional statement, and then describing the credence lended to one over the other. There you go. That's what he's doing.
That's what he's doing. It's convoluted nonsense. This is second grade convolution.
No.
No.
It's indoctrination of flat earthers into the term epicycle.
Too.
Because listen to what it means. Like the word orbit, epicycle.
Let's just go with that as well.
I'll read one little. Give me one paragraph, just to, because again, you see, it's an elliptical or an orbital explanation, even from a geocentric point of view, as opposed to this is what the luminaries do or the planetars do. That's the reality of what we're talking about. Just the planets do this. Yeah, that's how it's always observed. So the theory is based upon the idea that those that appear to move the slowest must be the furthest away. The problem is that the epicycle containing Mercury, the epicycle containing Venus, and the Sun all orbited the Earth in 1 year. You know, so there's a mismatch when you even there. That's what they're alluding to. That this mismatch, that it doesn't really fully make sense in this orbital mechanics type thing. The point I want to reiterate is final bit. The point I want to reiterate is that the epicycle description in of itself is a reification of trying to describe orbits, whether they be planar or three-dimensional. It doesn't matter.
Okay, for the audience's benefit, yes, absolutely correct, Adam. The audience's benefit, when we are critiquing epicycles, it is the exact same description as we gave earlier with retrograde motion. It's just one is geocentric, one is heliocentric. So one is the Earth at the center, in which case you're describing epicycles, and the pattern and the debunking of which we gave for retrograde motion is identical. So I'll give it again. There is no pattern like this. There is no watching an epicycle turn back on itself like it's depicted in this pattern on screen now. You do not see this in the same exact thing I said about retrograde, but changing it to epicycles and making Earth a ball again. QE, notice what's at the center of this.
Yep.
Another ball.
Yep.
Right. Making Earth a ball in a geocentric world and renaming them epicycles does not alter the extrapolation that has taken place in this visual depiction. That is to say that there is a movement from one position back to another through this loop. There isn't. Following night, the star will be in a different position with respect to all of the rest of them and then move through the night sky as it did the night before. Now, you can say, well, in the in-between bit, no, you can't. That's an extrapolation. It's beyond their purview to do this. It's maybe Adam can give us a nice little soliloquy about the majesty of the heavens in this regard, because you can look at it and understand with certainty that you don't understand what is happening, and all of this walking through La La Land to try and explain it with these extrapolations to me is whimsical. But go ahead, Adam. Hopefully you've got something nice to say about
I have something to say after Adam.
Oh, brother.
I'll keep it succinct then. You know, I use the word planetas. They're the ones that are deviant, whatever we're doing. And I'll refer you to an elevation angle. Is it describing any form? You know, what are we describing? We're describing proximity and distance when we look at angles. Okay? So to try and translate it to that, or bastardize it to that into a semi-flat geocentric version of heliocentrism, is a misunderstanding of the little bit of knowledge I've got from celestial navigation. Don't reify it as seen on screen.
Yeah, well, just to back up what Nathan said, the only way I could describe the sky from an honest point of view would be from a slides in a presentation type description, where slide 1 is tonight's sky, slide 2 is tomorrow night's sky, slide 3 is Monday night sky, because that's what you see. You don't see these transitions. You just see the next slide. You have no idea what happened in between. So Nathan is 100,000,000% on point, pointing out that these people are trying to create cycles that they have no proof for, as in a transition periods that they don't have no proof for. Nathan, you're 100% correct.
Move on. He's gone to the toilet.
Sorry,
He's gone to
sorry.
the-
I'm back. I'm sorry. I had to step out for a second. Are we ready?
Yes, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So here's just some more celestial observations plotted over a stationary plane. Eclipse.
Hey, what's going on over on the right-hand side over here? Who made this? What the hell is this? And what does this have to do with the train wreck hypothesis?
Excuse me. You know how the Christian church, what's the symbol of the Christian church, QE?
Cycles.
Exactly, right? What the hell is the symbol of the Ethereum church? It's the toroid, you fucking ignorant idiot. Shame on you. Don't be so prejudiced against the Church of Etheria. What it is, it's a symbol about what's to come, about what's to be preached. As soon as you see that, you know what's coming, don't you? Look at it. Look.
Plotted over a stationary plane. Eclipse cycles. So this is just a quick video. There's no audio required, so I'll just play through a little bit. This is just a ferrocell and a magnet in the hologram projector.
Superchat.
You are a super cat.
Go ahead, Adam. Do the super chat.
I was right though, wasn't I? Look, we're pulling up ferrocells now.
Yeah, just arbitrarily just pull up a ferrocell. Go ahead, Adam. Finish. I'll speak to this.
It was the bit before that. That's why I have to apologise for that. But I just, you know, when you get, oh my God, it's going there. So excuse that little outburst. Retro Bill, thank you for saving me. Super chat. Today's show sponsored by the Incoherent Oblivion. Thank you, sir. Here's Bill.
Thanks, Bill. So now all of a sudden we're going to pull out a ferrocell and a magnet, right? Just arbitrarily. What about, why not just pull out frog piss in like stagnant Alabama friggin' swamp? Why don't you just do that?
But if you show this is great. When this first got shown to me, I remember, I've forgotten what the guy's name. You've got a really slanderous term for him. The guy in the dressing gown was explaining how you could do this with your blood. Obviously, it's got a finite amount of iron in it, and therefore you can stick your blood on a cell. What do they call them? A glass thing, and then squish it together, and then put a magnet under it, and Bob's your uncle. This is what you get. Blood.
And that's lovely. Aren't we talking about Michelson-Morley experiment bullshit or nonsense? And we were trying to. When did Michelson-Morley bring up ferrocells, magnet? The only thing they may have invoked is ether. I don't hear them talking. Where has this come from?
Who knows?
What relevance has it got to do with an impartial view of something that these guys never ever said? So where has this topic come from? Because it's not been.
You're not understanding and following along. It's all very profitable in the end, Adam.
But not related to any claims of Michelson or Morley with regards to any effects they may or may not have had in their quasi-experiment.
Yes.
No, but you've got to, if you're going to sell someone free energy down the line, got to plant the seed amongst the pseudo-science, claim to be science, that's going to be proving things, because then this has the illusion of being proven also alongside the stolen valor of the bullshit hypothesis that's proving a false dichotomy, Adam. You've got to plant the seed in somewhere.
I could. He could have put anything. It's just arbitrary, right? You could put an ice sculpture of a friggin' football bat. You could have just posted that.
No, wrong. You got to put something that looks cool. Number one, that's important. So, better example to say, you could have put anything here. He could have put the fiber optic gyro here. That would have been an appropriate moment to put the fiber optic gyro in, as opposed to a ferrocell, because it would have at least tentatively linked back to his bullshit. In this regard, something that looks cool, like I say, it's planting the seed for the grift later on. That's why it's in here, as opposed to gyro, which would achieve the same effect. It's just a cool prop.
Fair enough.
So you'll see a lot of the same patterns.
Wait.
Wandering.
Oh, brother.
I just want to clarify.
You're brothering away the best bits.
I just want to clarify with Nathan. So the reason the ferrocell is in this bit of the presentation regards to the Michelson-Morley experiment isn't because it's got anything to do with the Michelson-Morley experiment or anything Michelson or Morley postulated. It's to do with the later grift.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did say, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that. It's a bit like sometimes, with that violent criminal, like the flat earth. Yeah? Sometimes you just need to repeat a point.
Yeah, but don't do that with Nathan, because when I did that a few minutes ago, Nathan didn't give me props, and I helped him out. So don't do it, because he doesn't like people standing on his toes.
I'm not what I don't know what toes they are.
You're Irish.
My handbag's in the other room. I'll leave it till later, Brian.
Can I owe brother some more of the best stuff?
Stars make, and this is just more of that. This one is the
what the hell is he doing?
What was that? That was the projection of the sun plotted at every latitude for an observer by FE Core. Shoot.
That's another fraud. I frauded them out right from the beginning. They had in their charter experiments. Yep, so you're just bringing up another fraud there, Alan. Which you're already guilty of it.
Shoot. Hit the wrong button.
Ever wanted to recapture the...
Oh, brother.
I got a point to make real quick.
Go ahead.
So with the supposed models, the only way that they're useful is when a hypothesis has a limitation on its validity. So it's pseudoscience. And we already put that aside, that they're just in the realm of pseudoscience. And now we're just listening to them wax philosophically.
In other words, we're off into La La Land now. Yeah, good summary. Go ahead, Kiwi.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
This one right here,
Showed
yeah.
the
So
toroid.
Yeah, dude. So
yeah,
so
bruh. Yeah, dude. Cool waves. This is blowing my mind. What the fuck are you, Spicoli?
Swearing.
Are any of these images are showing actual?
Hold on,
actual
everybody
images?
be quiet. This is very important. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, are any of the images are showing actual images, or are they depictions, CGI depictions of something?
They're cartoons.
This is real.
Now,
This is absolutely real.
The one on screen,
Thank you.
I think the one on screen you're seeing is the FE core. A little bit like some of the sun tracking, but I think it's just data gathered, but plotting it out. I always found it interesting because, as you heard, I think the person referred to latitudes, longitudes. So all of this plotting out that you're seeing here is based upon a ball. Just so you know so you're aware. All of the data that's being expressed to you graphically is based on the pre-assumption of a ball and the way it's presented to you graphically via the mathematics. It is a point of considerance before you look at these pictures and think it means anything.
When you say ball, do you mean globe Earth?
Yes, he does.
Thank you.
To an observer relative at every latitude. And then when you plot it around a globe, it makes this fractal toroid.
They're plotted around the globe. He just told you.
What?
Yep. Let me
Did you
rewind
use-
it. I'll give it back 5 seconds. Listen to him.
And then when you plot it around a globe, it makes this fractal toroid.
Told you.
But he said what he was plotting around was the latitude points, wasn't he?
That
So-
No, but the truth was there, wasn't it? You plot it around the globe. This is, and you can then lay that globe out in an azimuth or equidistant manner to project it as you now see it.
I got all that. Let's go back 2 more clicks and listen to what he says.
I'll pull a J. Here we go.
Object and where it would be located to an observer relative at every latitude. And then when you plot it around a globe, it makes this fractal toroidal pattern.
Relative to every latitude. Yeah. Now, although Adam stole this and completely ruined it because his example earlier with a Lamborghini V12 going along the highway going science doesn't prove anything would be actually more accurately Darren on a skateboard with a broken wheel scooting along the highway holding everybody up going science doesn't prove anything, man. Yeah. In this instance, however, there's a Lamborghini traveling along that highway going, you're going to need a flat earth for those latitudes. It's a flat earth proof. But while we're detailing, or Adam has highlighted the fact that this is plotted with respect to a globe earth that it's plotted with respect to is paradoxically plotted from a flat plane with respect to the elevation angle measurements to Polaris. Please don't start the video yet. I want Brian to actually, I'm not being sarcastic, he has got important stuff to add to what I've just said. Okay. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, well, the latitude and longitude grid is derived by flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris. That's where it comes from. The whole of the latitude and longitude grid, all you're doing is finding out a coordinate in relation to the GP of Polaris. That's all you're doing. So even when they add in things like the suns, let's say at the equator and the sun 23.4 degrees south and north of the equator, that's only, they're still only parallels of latitude. They have nothing to do with the sun. The whole of the latitude and longitude grid is purely based on Polaris. And the conjoining of the south ends of all the longitude lines is where they got their globe from. They just conjoined all them mathematically. And when you do the maths, it works out with a radius of 3,956 miles. That's where their radius comes from. And so whatever is going on here, anytime anyone mentions the latitude and longitude grid, they are always referencing flat Earth, whether they know it or not. Now, I doubt those lads even realise that the latitude and longitude grid comes from flat Earth because they don't listen. But that's the truth. It has nothing to do with a globe. Globes don't exist.
Pattern. It's very cool. Yeah, so that's what that is. And to close out on the orbital stuff, just one more time, we got some orbital paths of so Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. So to explain their motions, you'll get these you get those fractal patterns that looks very much like a magnetic toroid and all that stuff.
A magnetic toroid with its fractal patterns. Look at this NA literalist. What experiments can be done for astronomy? Love it, man. Too funny. We'll
you
continue.
just skip back 5 seconds just to the previous graphic. That. Now, if we're going to ascribe this retrograde motion to the consequence of a heliocentric viewpoint, yeah, look at what's happening. If the reality is it's just they're a bit further away.
Yes.
Look at the crazy patterns that are going off.
Yep.
Yeah. Look at the cymatic patterns if you want to get a bit hippie. But just look at it. And the only reason you tolerate it is because you're still trying to view it as orbits. Whether it's a flat Earth orbit or a heliocentric orbit, you're still thinking orbits, the behavior of the luminaries. Stop it!
Because they're filled in the gaps. They're filled in those gaps in between in the daytime when the click of the cogs that are the sky and how they work get turned into these motions. And we don't know there is a click. We don't know that there is a transition. We don't know any of it. But here we are taking it onto day after day after day like a flick book, and then presenting the entirety. It's like presenting an image of a cinema reel, one frame at a time, but having that image from that frame burnt into the screen with every frame. That's what's happening.
No, look at the image on screen. What's required? This is geometry that's required on screen, okay? With a ball Earth at the center and everything else working around it with its retrograde motion. This is pure geometry. All of the pure geometry angles you see and behaviors are taken through a lens, human eye, from a flat Earth elevation angle, from a flat plane. Turn it into that. It isn't that. Do you understand? The initial data input has got nothing to do with this transcription to image.
It's mental masturbation by hippies. That's what it is.
There we go.
Very cool.
Mental masturbation by hippies. That I didn't. That's a good one.
Here's one
Hold
more.
on, there's some really good correlations here.
Same thing.
Thank you.
Staying over a plane and the orbits and how they look following magnetic flux lines. All right, so hypothesis.
Whoa! There's our hypothesis right here.
Oh.
Take a look at this, guys.
What did he see, or what was his problem? What's the problem?
Nathan, the hypothesis.
Can't go to hypothesis yet.
He already stated it. He didn't know he stated it, but he stated it way back there before all the pseudoscience models came out with his friggin' toroids.
Look at the first statement. His if statement is if heliocentrism
were true. Yeah, no.
In an actual hypothesis, your if statement is your independent variable. That would be to say it's the thing that you're going to vary and manipulate to induce the effect that you're studying. But to start a hypothesis with if heliocentrism were true, what if a model? Really? What? This is going to be terrible.
Oh, yeah. Well, he has hypothesis right here, but then he has heliocentrism, geocentrism, and this is blocked, but it's ether crap. I'm going to try to catch this in between when they're going in between. This is a train wreck, folks. If
what the hell
heliocentric
is on the left-hand side, before we get into the glob, there's some kind of pre-assumption statements that will make the blurb more sensical, I assume.
No, it won't.
Heliocentrism, or affirmation, -5 fringes.
No, that's approximate 5 fringes.
Is that? Oh, it's a squiggle. It's a squiggle.
Yep.
Roundabout. That's accurate, isn't it? Roundabout, roughly, there or therein, somewhere in the ballpark of 5 fringes. No fringes.
No fringes.
Yeah. No fringe.
A slight fringe. A fringe of what?
Well, no, you didn't. Don't give it demeaning this stuff like it's meaningless scrap. It's just not fair to them. Say it properly. Falsified equals slight fringe.
What? I'll get to it in a minute. Geocentrism affirmation equals roundabout slight fringe. Would that be like roundabout falsified? Because if falsified equals slight fringe, therefore slight fringe is roundabout. That's making no sense using this. But anyway, null equals no fringe. Falsified equals roundabout 5 fringes.
But you've got the get out in there. Look, heliocentrism, null, no fringe, and geocentrism, null, no fringe. Simple. Get a crew cut.
Did he explain what fringes are yet? Did we even
We all
get
know
what
what
the?
fringe is. And let's clarify that for the Americans. Sometimes called bangs.
All right, what do you want me to do? You want me to, we're going to stay on this page for a very long time.
I think this page needs to be read. The first thing
Round
we've
about
got to
5
identify.
bangs. Call it bangs. Round about 5 bangs. Null, no bang. Falsified, slight bang.
Go ahead, Adam. He rumpused you. Go ahead.
I know. It's so true, isn't it? Let's find out, as we read the paragraph, what a fringe or a bang is.
Okay. Do you want me to read this?
Well, before you can then carry on, we've got to identify what the reason for the left-hand column is. Because fringes or bangs, whatever they be, whether they be slight, full, or multifaceted, we should know what they are.
Can you have one bang? Wouldn't that be like one strand of hair?
The bang? How many bangs does a banger make? One bang.
If you've got 5 strands of hair, does that make? Would you say if you were a girl? I mean, we're only appealing to the female audience, and you went into the hairdressers and you're like, just 5 strands of hair, and then I'm going to say I got bangs.
No.
Would that be
that makes a very small
pattern?
flat.
Slight bang, but that's what I'm saying. Slight bangs. It's the term. We'll have to find out. We'll have to go through it.
That would be a fringe pattern.
Fringe
pattern.
pattern.
Where's Alwyn when you need him?
Yeah, Alwyn's never around.
I'm right here. What?
Oh, brother.
Nathan's trying to. Yeah. Trying to
Oh,
bring in a
brother.
slight bang. Is there if it's a bang, is it a slight bang? If you had this slight bang, could you have a slightly quieter bang? No, slight bang.
Are you done yet?
You mean like a sound?
Adam's ruined this joke.
Oh my god. Do you mean sound or are you talking about hairstyle?
And he's taking it
no,
seriously.
Adam's, look, let me just clarify for Armin.
It's Arwin. What the hell did you expect?
Real quick. It's already descent into chaos because we've involved Darwin. Right. Look, Adam's 1/10 of a flagon in, and everybody's getting confused. Bangs are hair. We're talking about fringes. That's what the conversation is about.
Now, do you want me to go through this? Yes, you do.
We have to.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
If this is hypothesis. If heliocentrism were true, based on the yearly cycles, the Earth is required to be in motion at a certain speed. That's not a hypothesis. A speed of 30 kilometers per second to be precise. Why? I ain't even going to go there. In combination with that, current electromagnetic theory, there is no current electromagnetic theory. Electromagnetic theory, electrodynamics, was debunked over 100 years ago from Maxwell. So you have a debunked theory inside your hypothesis train wreck here was based on a stationary ether. What the hell is ether? That carried the charge potential, listen to this horse shit, for an accelerating electric field to generate a magnetic field. That background medium, which one's that? Can you show that?
Whoa. Right. So I didn't mind the first bit, because while suppositional, it's based in that bollocks. In combination with that, current electromagnetic theory was based on a stationary ether that carried the charge potential for an accelerating electric field to generate a magnetic field. That's going to require citation for me at that point to say who, what, where, when, how, other than Ken Wheeler.
That background medium, like I said, whatever that is, that carries the charge potential for the electric arrow magnetic field induction, heard that before, will also affect the electromagnetic propagation in the form of resistance to the speed of C. There is no speed of C. You need to get with shit's at 40. There is no speed of light. If you're in motion relative to the ether. Do you want me to stop at this paragraph?
Yeah, I think we should have a look at that again, because there's a lot in it. Well, there's a pun at the start where he says the current, and then goes on to talk about electromagnetism.
There's a philosophical point at the end there. It says, will also affect electromagnetic propagation in the form of resistance to the speed of light if you're in motion with the relative to the ether. And then we've got this thing, which I suppose we may get to the Michelson-Morley eventually. All the supposition that's required. So first of all, we presuppose that ether is required for the propagation of light. We presuppose that light has a speed. That's it. Yeah. And then we presuppose that there's some kind of relationship between the motion of ether. Right? Because that's going to be important, isn't it? If this is the propagating medium is moving when we set up a bit of interferometry. Stop it.
This is
right.
weird.
It's not me that's being weird, is it? That's what I'm just reading there. It's really important, that bit, that you understand it, yeah?
This is a convoluted jumble of horse shit that has nothing to do with his original hypothesis.
Exactly, QE.
Yeah.
Let me try. Yeah. What QE's frustration is, in many of QE's presentations, he details how pseudoscience pretender clowns will mistake what's the title of this? Oh, hypothesis or an explanation. And this, they've incorporated in the presuppositions, the background nonsense they need for their argument, and a few if and then statements, all in 3 paragraphs of convoluted nonsense. Now, a real hypothesis simply establishes your supposed cause of an effect you observed. That's it. That's it. It's 2 things. Independent variable, that's your supposed cause, and dependent variable, the effect you're studying. That's it. You can literally boil down a hypothesis to 2 things. Independent variable and dependent variable. Now, you can expand on that and explain that everything else outside of that needs to be kept under control. You could, but you don't need to. You could also expand that an actual hypothesis would have the contrapositive, that's a null, with if A, not B. In other words, you won't get any result when you vary your presumed cause. Nothing will happen. That's also included in a hypothesis if you want to be a bit more detailed. But there's 3 paragraphs of nonsense that we're going through because it's a flawed, feigned explanation for a supposition with a gaggle screw of if-then statements thrown in for good measure. This is definitely not a hypothesis. It's a bloody outrage.
Yep.
So us sitting here waffling through it like we need to give it any more credence beyond... If we could highlight this paragraph, which we probably can't because it's not on a slide in Word, just type in the word independent variable and see where it appears in this entire 3 paragraphs. And if it doesn't, go disregard it all, every last word of it. If it doesn't say supposed cause, and you haven't got a hypothesis. This isn't a hypothesis. It's waffle.
Well, it can't be because they're adding in things that aren't even measured, like the speed of light. Right? Even if we gave them all of that and we looked at what was said, the speed of light, which is c, which is based on a vacuum, it's a two-way calculation based on a vacuum, is not a measurement. Nobody ever measured it. Probably no one ever will. So that straight away means that every other single part of what they're going to talk about or claim or hypothesize about is a waste of time. You can't add in things into a hypothesis that don't exist.
This isn't
ridiculous.
You're adding into this. It's not a hypothesis to begin with, so you're not adding it into the hypothesis.
It isn't one. It's actually so. What's actually?
I know, but I had to reference it. I had to use the word. Sorry.
Yeah, sure, but to conclude, what's actually happening here? Because this spans back to my passion and fury in regards to this fraud that's taking place. This is the fraud. It's not a hypothesis. And why is it being called one? Because in the earlier description, in the second paragraph of what a hypothesis would be, it had the word proof. We're going to be proving this, because that's what a hypothesis did in his earlier description. So we've taken 45 minutes, an hour, get to this, because you'll be so baffled with bullshit if you're watching this, because you're not going to do what we've done. You're just going to listen and slowly aid into the hippy-dippy motions of the psychedelic patterns they show you, and then you get bombarded with this. Getting, ultimately it's claimed to be proof, if validated, in the kind of carefully phrased way that left the doors open to grease the skids of this nonsense. Ultimately, this is what's being used to claim that they're going to have proof of something at the end of this crap. That's an outrage. It's fraud. It's the same. This is my point. Everyone rumpuses me. This is the same fraud that is used to claim we're on a sphere. Here's the same bloody magic trick with the same, look over here at my magic psychedelic patterns. Now here's my proof, as I alluded to earlier. Here it is contained in these 3 paragraphs of garbage. It's an outrage. It's the same fraud that got you on a ball. Should all recognise it as the dupe when you all ask, well, how did they lie? No, they don't ask that, do you? Ask why, as opposed to how. Nevertheless, if you were smart enough to ask how did they lie, you'd get here. You'd realise that they'd used a claim of proof, that's science, when they didn't have one. And when you recognise that, none of you have if you're in Jaron's corner, and you'd recognise it when this happens, and you go, hang on a minute, didn't they tell us that they'd got a hypothesis and then come up with a load of nonsense waffle for heliocentrism? And then at the beginning of it, allude to the, like this guy has, proof it would be offering at the end of it. Is that Jaron, I'm a scammer? Like this guy's a scammer because this is going to be proven at the end, right? It does. It's just not science. It's not proving anything. That's why it's being called a hypothesis. And it's the same bloody magic trick that got you on a ball.
It's not only not science, it's not even coherent. It's got debunked shit all through it and shit that they just conjured that haven't been demonstrated or affirmed. This is nonsense, all of it.
Yeah, but that just makes everybody even more curious. Like, what is this? Seems to be so debunked. We want to really know. They got them chasing after a ghost again, like gravity.
We've got 2 questions. The first one is what Nathan's. We've taken the word proof. It appears to now have been substituted for the word affirmation. I'm not sure the difference or why you'd make the change. It's now got an approximate value to it, as I was corrected earlier on. Yeah? What kind of proof is an approximation? Around about 5. And I've read through the paragraph. I'm still to learn what fringes is, so maybe that'll come up.
But it's not going to come up.
It doesn't matter whether if it does, because now proof is round about 5 fringes, whatever they mean. It's not a cause and effect relationship established through hypothesis and experiment. Now, a hypothesis is a preamble of supposition, yeah, and a statement of what will or what won't mean by something that's yet to be defined.
Right, that's a good segue. So at the beginning of this, I said make a note of what Jaron critiqued about the their crappy science will end up being convoluted into mathematics. What like this? Round about 5 fringes. Yeah. In other words, apply Jaron's critique to the pseudoscience based on his standard of critique, not ours. And it will apply here also.
There is,
Well,
there is
could I
a
just,
request. Just one thing, just because we're going to move. But Kiwi, can you just forward it 5 or backward it 5? Because there appears to be a tertiary option of ether by the looks of it, which will have affirmation, null, and falsified.
No, it's gonna be covered. It's gonna be covered until. Hold on, 1 second. Let me see if I can't. 1 second.
This.
I'm gonna have to catch it right in between.
Superchats, or
yeah, friggin' Jaron. He puts this shit is gonna happen throughout the present. It's gonna cover the presentation the whole time. What a numpty dipshit.
Well, maybe we'll come to it later. I don't want to.
Hold on a second. Hold on. 1 second, please. Let me.
I would hate for a false dichotomy when clearly there's a trichotomy of falseness. No.
Let me go back 5 seconds. I got to do it.
Hey, what's the dichotomy or trichotomy got anything to do with this hypothesis? This is the weird
I just missed it. Hold on. There you go.
There you go. Ether. Affirmation equals fringes, slightly positive, in brackets. I'm not sure. That might need defining later. Null, slight fringe, error tolerance. And that might need defining later. And falsified, no fringe. We've got falsified is equal to geocentrism, round about 5 fringes, nothing for ether, and in terms of falsified, slight fringe. Feeling a little bit empirical, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. They should be institutionalized.
This is ultimate hippie dippy science.
Last night, jokingly, I sent QE my ether hypothesis because I knew we were going to be covering this today. And it is actually pertinent now because to an actual hypothesis for the ether than they have ever done. I could say I'm a million years ahead of them. And my hypothesis is this. My DV is darkness. My IV is light. Because that's exactly what they are claiming without being honest about it. Isn't it? Remember I said that the ether is the darkness, or darkness is the ether, because the light hides in the dark. That's what they're trying to claim. So that hypothesis, which was only a joke, and will only ever be a joke, was far more close to the bone than any of this nonsense they're going to bring out now. Prove me wrong. Prove to me that they're not claiming darkness is ether. Because that's all I can get out of it after a couple of years.
All right.
We got some internet issues.
Say again?
Got some internet issues on YouTube.
No, we're back on. I was just checking it. I've just refreshed him. Oh no, we froze again.
Oh, really? Hold on.
They're a little bit glitchy, QE.
I'm pretty good to go here. Must be a YouTube issue.
Normal. Yeah, it was probably. Seems like back to normal.
Carry on. I think maybe a bit buzz past the bit where he's reading it, because otherwise we'll just end up hearing him read what we've just covered.
I don't think there's a lot in there other than to point out that there's no description of fringes, which other than rhetoric and belief in an ether and this nonsensical presupposition that if we get these results of fringe or no fringe, what it would mean. Which is fine if we could understand what a fringe is. There's nothing of that in there.
All right. What about YouTube? YouTube, how you doing out there in chat? Are you still, Divergent Jordan, are you still buffering? Just give me a yes or no in chat, and then we can continue here for a little bit. We're not going to get through this thing, man. There's no way. Yeah, it must be a YouTube issue out there, because right here on the mainframe, I'm good to go. There's no issue. All right.
Same here.
Now, Nathan, do you want me to read the rest of it, or just move on?
I think move on past him reading it.
Okay.
There's QA. There's one little thing that's bugging me. I mentioned trichotomy here. Isn't how Michelson-Morley was approached? Yeah, they were trying to figure how much the Earth was rotating in respect to the movement of the luminiferous ether, as I understand their pre-assumptions in the Michelson-Morley experiment.
No.
Yeah, because of tonight's show. Yeah, experiment all in capitals with a couple of exclamation marks after it. Yeah, that's not what's now being portrayed, and this is quite important to me, because we're now going backwards in time and resupposing a hypothesis for the experiment that was set up before I was born.
Sorry, you done?
One, other than, unless I'm about to hear the fringe explanation from Michelson-Morley with regards to roundabout 5 is heliocentric, roundabout slight fringe is geocentric, and E3 is, I can't read it again because there's another chatting. But do you understand the point I'm making? None of this, even if you attack the point of the word experiment, none of this new resupposition of a non-hypothesis that's being presented on the left-hand side, which seems to be the foundation of it, has got anything to do with what anybody set out to do.
Exactly.
Which again is fundamentally pseudoscience.
Exactly. You got it. And just look at the super chat, or I guess it's just chat comments. A man like me, you don't have an independent variable. Here they're talking about using the Earth as one from one side to the other. So this is it's much worse than that. But I find it hilarious that this pops up during the discussion and stays there, by the way. So we're almost done with this little part.
Framework.
Let's see what happens.
The affirmation would be slight fringes that are reproducible outside of air tolerance. The null would be slight fringes within air tolerance, and falsified would be no fringe pattern, meaning that the speed of light is the same and it doesn't produce any patterns when it recombines at the end when it hits the photographic plate.
Get NFL Sunday Ticket and watch your
Oh boy.
Did he say the speed of light is the same when it recombines? I think he did.
Yeah.
But that's not how a ring laser gyro, for instance, works. That's not how it's claimed to work.
Yeah, we don't want to go down this road right now, Brian. We'll be here for centuries.
I'm not trying to go down. I know. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to get out.
I got you.
You're contradicting them. Go on.
Yep. Forbidden Science says, I never wanted to do online dating, but I've tried dating some non-flat earthers, and I don't want to do it anymore. This has more substance than what we have witnessed for the past 3 hours and 30 minutes. I'd like to spend some time here, because I'll never get back this time.
And his boy Morley came up with the way to test this. They came up
That's
with
not his name, by the way. There's some people in charge of debate channels that ask the question, Michelson-Morley, is that a guy? No.
Oh, he's talking about that person that's in charge of flat Earth debate channels. He's shouting you out there, Nathan. Ooh, cut Nathan not around. Look at that. We'll continue.
I'm around.
Oh, it's two guys.
Oh,
I chose not to respond.
Okay.
Nice. But go ahead.
Yep. Albert Michelson and Edward Morley. So these two gentlemen came up with a way to test this hypothesis.
Test what hypothesis? I haven't seen one yet. Neither has anyone in my audience or anyone on the panel. You're not testing any hypothesis. This is pseudoscience. Demonstratable, and we just did it.
Or these various hypotheses. So what they have here.
Or these various hypotheses, which one were those? You forgot to annotate them. We missed those. This guy's a clown. Certifiable fraud.
Is a concrete slab over a vat of mercury
that sounds pretty sciencey.
Held up by a wooden table or a wooden slab that's floating in the vat of mercury. So what they can do with this is they could rotate and orientate the device however they need to align it such that the one of the axis of the arms will be perpendicular to the axis of motion of Earth's orbital velocity and all that, so that to get it lined up, and it reduces vibrations and all that. So anyway, what they got going on here is they shoot a coherent beam of light through a prism, and it splits.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You can't have light travel. Isn't it already there? According to Shitsit 40, it's already there. Why are they shooting it here and it's splitting and it's going here? Well, what's happening?
Yeah.
Idiots.
Exactly.
It's these reflective mirrors, bounces back and forth.
It's hitting reflective mirrors and bouncing back and forth. Light doesn't travel, sunshine. According to one of your princes. Do we need to listen to that again? I played it in the beginning.
Remember, QE, it's compartmentalized. It doesn't matter that one part contradicts the other. They're like two separate stories that separately make sense, right?
That's a bridge too far. Going to the separate stories makes sense in and of
to
themselves.
Them. Sense to them, right?
Fair enough.
Forth until it hits another the beam recombiner, and it hits a photographic plate, and they take their measurement, right? And they
right. What are you asking them right for? Shouldn't you already know it? Idiot.
That's where they get their fringe shift patterns. So the idea here is that if there's a variance in the speed of light caused by Earth's motion, that
variance in the speed of light, you can't have a variance in the speed of light because according to Shits at 40, it doesn't have a speed. It's already there.
That light is going to be traveling slower.
Light doesn't travel. Shits at 40 said it doesn't travel. It's already there. What do you want me to do with this?
The contradiction with Whitsitt is clear. I think he's not being clear. He's not suggesting that the speed of light is changing. He's suggesting that the etheric medium that light has to propagate through has a direction. It's like if you're swimming up and down a river, you'll have different speeds based on the speed of the river. He's suggesting that during its path, you can detect that relative change based on the path mechanisms you set up, hence what they've set up.
Yeah, but you're after stating that there's a path. A path means a direction. It means a movement to go along.
It means a journey. I was admitting the contradiction with what's being explained right now, okay, and the way in which the mechanics are being explained. There is that obvious contradiction to what QE's alluding to, which is there is no path. If there is no path, then I'm not sure.
We can be like speculating endlessly about how they're. Maybe they just haven't made up their minds yet about their optical opinion.
They're denying the darkness. That's what they're doing. They're denying darkness. That's their ether. It is. Because that's where it leads to. It all leads to
They
the
don't know
dark.
what to think about it yet, so they're just
Excitement.
improvising. It doesn't have to make sense with each other. They're still trying to figure it out.
It's literally excitement within the dark creates light. Or shows us light. I know I'm better at it than they are. I can sell it better than them. The excitement within the dark shows us the light.
Now, the excitation
Yeah.
of matter. The excitation of matter is the thing that we get to see of the actual light part, while the actual light is instantaneous.
All right. Guess what?
Dark is ether unmanifest.
Dark is ether unmanifest.
Light is the ether manifest.
Ether's not necessary. Like everything I just explained doesn't require ether.
That's not what they're describing here. It's background medium, the luminiferous ether, medium which is required for the propagation of light, is what they're describing. What they're trying to show here is that whether there is relative motion of the Earth or not, be it geocentric or heliocentric, its relative motion should also be detectable against any possible relative motion of the ether wind. I think we heard that phrase used earlier. That's what's being analysed here. All of this bullshittery, this nonsense story, is where we're at when we're going to apply it to this Michelson-Morley experiment, all in capitals.
Nathan, sir.
Yes.
My good man, I'm going to stop the presentation right there for today.
Okay. I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels. I know we haven't got a G+ panel today. It's Ballbusters. A huge, massive thank you to all of you who took part in this. We only got one guy and we shut him down. I can't even thank the public participants. Thank you for all of you tuning in live, smashing the super chat, hitting PayPal link for QE and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and we will see you all in the next Ballbusters.
You seem as if you like to talk. I like to let people talk who like to talk. It makes it easier to find out how full of shit they are.
I'm just saying, whatever light is, clearly gets to the receiver faster in one direction and higher and changes throughout the year, and it consistently does that.
Riddle me this, you double-speaking moron. How can light move in one direction faster and not have a speed?
Yeah, there is no speed of light. Whatever light is, clearly gets to the receiver faster. Yeah, there is no speed of light faster. There is no speed of light.
You unlock this door with the key of
retardation.
Beyond it is another dimension. You're moving into a land of
bullshittery.
You've just crossed over into
the numpty zone.
You are so dumb. Damn.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
I'm just saying, whatever light is, clearly gets to the receiver faster in one direction and higher and changes throughout the year, and it consistently does that.
No, there's not a journey because there's nothing traveling. What the light is already there.
So out of one side of your face, you say, light clearly gets to the receiver faster in one direction. Then at the other side of your face, you say, the light's not traveling, it's already there. So how can light not travel and be already there, and at the same time be traveling faster in one direction to get to the receiver, its destination? Por favor.
You serious? Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
So we have the respawn remedial retard, double speaking lion surrat, shits at 60, guns ablazing out of the gate ether argument from FED episode 1702 from 8 months ago.
Well, we have electromagnetic waves that we can show, and either it has a medium that it's waving through, or it's waving through nothing, which is an asinine claim.
So we have electromagnetic waves, which this moron thinks is light, waving through a something medium because they can't wave through nothing. Therefore, his something medium is ether. 10 days later,
the wave is the medium.